Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, sounds good. So you said you're interested in Neoform coaching?
Yeah. Well, I'm qualified for Antwerp RC, and I've decided that I want to play Neoform, but I'm not sure about the list that I want to use, and I'm really stuck on the sideboarding of the deck with the deck.
Yeah, it makes sense. I can discuss those things. I don't know. I wrote an article like a
Yeah,
couple months ago.
I read it. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
when you played it on Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that article. I mean, my friend was played on that Pro Tour, and he was the one that recommended that I get in touch with you.
Oh, sounds good. Yeah. So, yeah, do you have a list of Neoform that you have right now, like that you've been playing recently? Um, I can
Uh,
take.
yeah, I have. You want me to share the screen?
Yeah, you can share the screen or post a picture of the list, whatever. If
Yeah,
you want to start by looking at the list or the sideboarding.
yeah. Uh, this is not the like complete list. I've been tweaking it like from league to league, from game to game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the shell is mostly, let's say, stock, but there are some things that I was trying. For example, Sarah's Emissary is the guard that I found out that I quite like in the deck. I know that it might not be the best, but it steals some games.
What like matchups or situations do you like it for, like prowess or?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's prowess. There is affinity. If I name artifact, they have like 4 lands to bounce her with, and that's it. And if I have veil or something else to protect her, like it's okay. Or I don't know. Yeah, I feel like it's sometimes it's like when I can combo, but I see that I'm in a losing position, and it's the like Hail Mary. I play Sarah's Emissary, and if you have it, you win. But if you don't, I have a chance.
Yeah, like when your life total's too low, I guess. Makes sense.
Yeah. Or uh, I mean this Jeskai Blink. They only have like only way for them to deal with it is Teferi, especially after sideboard when I put in mystical disputes. I think it has some legs. It's not the worst. But again, I understand it's not the green card, so
Yeah, I mean, I think
uh,
it seems fine if you feel like you're gonna fetch it enough that it's useful. I mean, doesn't the Jeskai deck also have like Solitude too? Or you mean like when you name creature, the only thing that removes it is Teferi?
yeah. I name creature and they can't remove it, nor can they damage me.
Yeah, I mean, it seems if you think it's gonna come up enough, doesn't make sense to, there's a lot of creatures you
Yeah,
could play.
yeah. I mean, I would like to play it in my list because I think that even the people that know I mean, they know that they are against Neoform. They are not ready for Sarah's Emissary, and I think that it can be like even if they see it in a list, it's not that people usually play it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I have that much to say about Sarah's Emissary. Like, it seems like, if you feel like there's a card that does a role, for the creature slot, you can play it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like yeah, like any, I don't know, thing like in the main deck or sideboard you're interested in like talking in
Uh,
particular? Or,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Can we just finish? So I to pay you, so I
Oh,
can get
sure.
that off my mind to send you tickets.
Uh, yeah, sure. I can
It's okay.
log on Magic Online now.
Yeah. I mean, it's easier for me just to get it done with, and then we'll get on with this.
Sounds good. Yeah, give me a second to log on.
Yeah.
Doo, doo, doo. Yeah, I'm just logging on. Modo.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just need to open the Authenticator app, I guess. I've been logged in a
Mm-hmm.
long time.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's the pro. I have like a bunch of Moto accounts, so I'll have to guess the
Yeah.
Authenticator because I see like five Moto. Okay, let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, my first guess worked, so that's good. Okay, I'll send you a trade request, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh, just let me put it in at trade binder.
okay, uh, uh, yeah, one second, my Moto's lagging.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's not-
it might crash and I'll log in again. I mean, we can discuss Neoform stuff while I'm getting my
Sure, sure,
Moto
sure.
working, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I'm just gonna restart it. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're looking for comments in particular. I mean, some things that stand out to me is there's,
No,
endurance and yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
yeah, yeah. Uh, I'm sorry. You finished, so then I'll go.
Okay. No, I was gonna say, I mean, when I look at the list, one of the first things that stands out to me is endurance.
Yeah,
Um, and then obviously there's a question of one of the main flex spots in Neoform is just like, what do you play in the last few green cards? You can play a Hooting Mandrills, you can play more Veils, you can play more
yeah, yeah,
Nourishing Shoals. And obviously, there's the mana situation. I mean, you can either play these green lands like Bridgeworks and Disciple, or you can play more and Generous Sense, or you can play, Preordains, but that's basically the main deck. I mean, there's not that much, room to
yeah.
operate in the main deck.
Well, the thing for endurance, I there is some Neo from Discord, and this is also the thing that I've been like testing that they are well pretty bought on. I'm not sure how to say it.
Yep.
They're saying like endurance is basically a third Galta, where after you draw cards with Griselbrand and you discard Galta. If you happen to draw them all, you can like say, accept.
Yeah, I understand that
You
endurance is
can look
like
at
more
bad.
Galtas, yeah. Like it lets you
And
loop your deck or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of the argument is like, do you think that's and people think that they need the third Galta or whatever, like what else is
I'm not sure. I'm not completely bought on endurance, especially as a third Galta, but there is. I mean, there are also some fringe cases where, for example, against what's it called, that reanimator deck
yeah, like
that
Gorios or
brain froze.
something?
Yeah, yeah. For example, against Gorios, well, or even sometimes against Flage, or even with even against prowess, where you can even like pitch endurance, shuffle their graveyard, and consign to block something or something like that. I mean, they're really fringe cases, and that's what I've been like testing it just to try it on, but I'm not a hundred
Yeah,
percent. I mean, I know it waters down somewhat. It waters down maybe the plan, but
waters down the what? Sorry, you said it waters down the.
uh, plan for I mean a
Yeah,
deck
like
plan.
it
So
doesn't. It's
like
not that good to draw in your hand. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I
The
mean,
if
yep.
it's if it's in the hand, it's basically just a pitch material. because it's not even if you play it, it's not gonna win the game. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm sold on endurance. Like I could believe the arguments. I mean, I would I feel like it's important when you're building a deck to kind of realize like everything's kind of a trade-off. Like it's kind of hard for something to just be 100%. I mean, like you're going to 100% play four Neoforms, right? There's like no trade-off there, so it's not always, but like with a flex card like endurance, like I mean, when I first started like you're just kind of weighing what's the utility of endurance versus the other green cards because like the other green cards you could play, is like you can play Nourishing Shoal. Nourishing Shoal can like make your Grizzlebrands better or whatever, and like you can
yeah,
play
yeah.
another Veil of some like you know what I mean. So I mean the question is how often. I mean it's just like how often will the utility of endurance come up compared to the utility of having something else. I mean I did feel like three Galtas was kind of like a very big luxury. Like Neoform isn't that popular in Modern right now, so we can already tell there's kind of some dissatisfaction with the deck, right? It's not like everybody's playing Neoform and you know what I mean? So like you can already tell there's something kind of wrong with the deck. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but you see what I mean?
No,
Like
no, yeah, yeah, I understand. I understand. If it was like tier one best deck, everyone would play it. Yeah.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
and it's like okay, like what's the problem with the deck? And it's like so I just feel like the utility of like these bonus cards are kind of high to me, and I feel like it feels like pretty fringe that endurance would matter because a lot of like okay because like like it's like
Yeah.
how many it's like how many situations are you like losing the game because you don't have your third Galta feels like kind of low to me, and but I feel like for example with Nourishing Shoal I'm kind of high on Nourishing
Uh,
Shoal. Yeah, sorry, what do you want to say?
no, I completely agree. I mean, there's been a bunch of games where, for example, if I don't have a rider in my hand and I packed for rider to combo, I'm looking for consign, and sometimes you don't find it, but shoals are. I mean, that's the thing that happens more often. Where I mean, extra seven cards are is huge to find maybe packed, maybe consign.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you use the hyper like if you did the maths for what the odds are to hit consign, but they're actually like not that
No,
high in this deck. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, like have you ever used it's like one of these hyper geometric calculators before to try and like
no, I didn't.
yeah, so like for example, I'll show you here the odds you have consign in the top 20 cards of your deck. I mean, this is like obviously like just like pretty random because obviously I'm not like doing the math super well or whatever. But like let's say top
Yeah.
20 cards, it's 81%. So obviously I don't know, I'm not putting in the numbers perfectly, but that means like the chance that you like play Grizzlebrand, draw a bunch of cards, miss on consign is like kind of high. Like it's like more
Yeah,
it's
one
like
in five games.
yeah, it's almost like 10% plus, which is like obviously pretty, yeah, disastrous for obvious reasons. So I feel like helping the consign, yeah, like I value Shoal kind of high as you're saying because like you have to find consign. It's not that easy to find, but there's also other utility too with Shoal. Like just draw seven. Like let's say you're playing against Amulet, you need to find a Pact of Negation. You have more draws towards a
Mhm.
Pact of Negation. You play against and like your life gain's low, or like you're playing against Prowess or Energy or whatever. You need to gain some life anyway, I like the Shoal, but also another thing is that there are some matchups. This is what I noticed when I was first playing the deck, where like consigned to memory is like pretty not that good. Which obviously it's mostly there for the packs, but like let's say you're playing a matchup and your Pact of Negations like it's not a good matchup for Pact of Negation, then your consigned to memory like loses more value. Basically, what I mean is like when I played against Energy, I felt like consigned to memory isn't like that good against them, so you might want to side out like one of them if you see what I mean, especially if you're like siding in Floodmaw. So like Nourishing Shoal can act as
Yeah.
like copies of Consign. I guess I'm just saying I'm kind of I'm high on Consign. I guess it boils down to I feel like when you're Grizzle like a lot of games are like how many games do you draw as Grizzlebrand and whatever. So I value the Shoals kind of higher than most people I think, especially when you do the math and you look at the odds of like hitting a Consign. Especially if you can imagine like some games you might use a Consign on turn one, so you only have three left, whatever. And I mean, I haven't been keeping up super much with the modern meta. Like back when it was the PT, it felt like four Veil made sense because literally the most popular decks was Goryo's and Belcher. So I was kind of high on the four Veil because people they say about Neoform, oh it's pretty good against random decks, but it's bad against the blue decks. So I was like, well, I'll just play the four Veil because like if I play against Energy,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. It's not like my four, the Veil doesn't really matter that much because like what else am I going to play in the flex spot? Like some super fringe thing, like whatever. So I'm like, I'll just play 4 Veil because basically when it's good, it's really good. And if my opponent can interact, they can interact. And also some people are running around with Vexing Baubles anyway. Like I'm leaving it in against Eldrazi and Amulet sometimes anyway. So I could see like, yeah, so it's like, I value the 4th Veil and the 2nd Shoal, like, you know, reasonably. So like I might not play the Endurance, but like if you feel like it's going to come up enough, like I feel like if I play 100 games, it's pretty realistic that the 3rd Ghalta won't even come up. So I'm like kind of low on it. Obviously, there's other utility. Like people might say, for the graveyard stuff. Though the thing is, if you have if you Neoform successfully and you have Grizzlebrand, you have a lot of other ways to deal with the board, right? Like the Shoal, the packs, the consigns. So it's like I'm not like as concerned necessarily. The last argument I would say for Endurance is like I would say post board. Like I was playing Sea Beyond, which is kind of sketchy. Like I think post board the shuffling will matter more because like post board, I think it's pretty often that you might like side out some creatures or whatever, and and then or like post board you might play against a Solitude deck and it's more real. Like let's say you side out Xenagos or something, it's more realistic they actually kill all your creatures or whatever. So I guess what I'm saying is like I can see some utility, but I was just playing Sea Beyond in my sideboard, which I guess is kind of a sketchy card. But like I guess I'm saying I value the shuffling more post board, so I don't think it's like 0, but I do value it a bit less pre board. That's one thing I would say. It's just about the Endurance. I mean, I guess the last thing I would say is like if you just ask the question, like if you play, how many games do you have to play before the Endurance will come up? And then like you weigh that how many games do I have to play versus the other stuff. That's why I'm kind of low on it, but I'm definitely not 0 on it. Like I could believe it's good, especially if there's enough random graveyard decks or whatever. But also like again, a lot of the time you have Grizzlebrand first. Yeah, sorry, what are you saying?
No, I completely agree. I mean, there's been multiple times that happens when I have Grizzlebrand on board and I need to draw cards to find answers. And sometimes I'm like 5 or 6 life and I can't, and I just can't find it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like the Shoal is underappreciated by people because it does make the Grizzlebrand better. Like this whole deck is trying to put in Grizzlebrand in play like 95% of the time. So I do like making it better. Yeah. And also I feel I like Shoal post board too, because post board there's some matchups like against Energy. I feel like it's good against Energy or whatever. I don't know if there's other stuff you want to talk about in the main deck. I mean, obviously I like Preordain, but I think it's fine to play these green ones or whatever.
Yeah. I tried your list in a league today, and I'm not sure. I'm not that sold on Preordain. I just feel like sometimes it's just too slow. Like turn 2 or turn 3, if I preordain to find something else, then I'm already way behind on board, and that just I can't recover.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like a couple of things about Preordain. I mean, that would be one of the arguments against it, that it's slow. I guess the first thing I would say is I feel like Neoform's problem to me is not speed. Like I feel like this deck is already faster than most decks. The problem for me with Neoform is like not having the right cards, because like I feel like that's what I feel like. I feel like if you don't play Preordain and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna like I feel like if I have the combo in hand and all I'm missing is green cards, that's already a good space for me, because like the deck's already so much faster than most decks. Also, like if you lean into like what are the big problems with Neoform, I feel like it's playing against disruptive like blue decks with counter spells or like interaction. And I feel like Preordain's good against interaction because it helps you find, like, for example, with sideboard cards, like, you don't really want to side in, like, it's hard to side in interaction for your opponent's interaction because your deck is so, like, card intense for the combo. Like, for example, like, you can't side in that many Flood Moths or Nature Claim, whatever. So, yeah, I like Preordain because it helps you find answers. Like, let's say your opponent has a Vexing Bauble. Having Preordain in your deck gives you more ways to have outs to Vexing Bauble without diluting your deck. I feel like the problem is in speed, but also there's an argument too. You could argue Preordain makes you faster, which the argument for that is like if you're just purely goldfishing on turn 2 or turn 3, I mean, I could believe that Preordain can make you goldfish faster, because if you think about it, like to win the game on turn 2, having Preordain can be like, oh, now you can keep a one lander, or like for example with Pact of Negation. Like if you have Preordain in your deck, you're more likely to Neoform on turn 2 with Pact of Negation, because you're more likely to just have all those cards together. Like I don't know if you see what I'm saying, but I'm saying like Preordain can arguably in some ways make you faster because you cast it and then like you're more likely to have everything ready to go in turn 2, turn 3. I mean, I think it's fine not to play it. I think the big thing about, I mean, not to repeat what I wrote in the article too much, but like I think the big thing is just the mana base. Preordain plays a different mana base, but like I'm very like pessimistic. Like I'm always thinking about the worst case scenario, and I feel like in the worst case scenario, like how bad can like I'd rather have preordained when everything's going against me than have like some generous ent or like green green flip lands in my
Yeah,
hand. Like I feel like preordain is like in the worst case scenario, I get a scry 2 and draw a card. I kind of want to like enjoy access to that. I feel like also like if you break down the deck in terms of what it needs to draw eight ofs that it plays. Like you play 4 Neoform for Evolution, and you literally need to draw them every single game. And you play, let's say, 8 Allosaurus Riders. You need to, so you have 2 eight ofs. You need to draw every single game just for your deck to operate. So I just feel like Preordain's good for that. Like I feel like the people running around with all the generous sense are kind of optimistic that they're just going to draw all the combo pieces they need. I feel like people who play Preordain, they're kind of more pessimistic. They're like, yeah, like it's kind of hard to find my eight ofs consistently, and also like I need to beat interaction sometimes. Like even you play against Eldrazi, and Eldrazi has a lot of interaction because they go turn 1 Vexing Bauble, Thought Nazi, or whatever. So that's why I like Preordain. I mean, I think it's fine not to play it. You can lean into the Surveil lands. Like I could believe I'm wrong about Preordain, but that's basically why I like it. I think like I don't think it can be that big of a difference either way. Like I think at most it's like a 5% difference which one you play. Uh,
yeah,
um, Yeah, and I guess the last thing, I mean, I forget if I wrote in the article, but I did notice with the deck, like Summoner's Pact, finding the Disciple kind of makes green mana worse, if that makes sense. Because like if you have a one land hand and with Pact, if the one land is a forest, your hand could be like not functional. So like it kind of made me want to lean into like a more blue based mana base, but that's like pretty minor. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about
you're
the main.
definitely
Yeah, yeah,
you're definitely right. I've tried to keep a couple of times those trap hands where I have one green source, I have Neoform, I have Pact of Negation, I have Rider, I have everything, but I have one green source. And I think that every time I kept that hand, I never drew a blue source to actually to play the game.
yeah, like it's kind of sucks because like again, if you have the whole combo and you have like yeah, it's just so awkward if your hand is Forest plus Summoner's Pact, Green Source plus Summoner's Pact, and you're like, I literally could win on turn 2, but I just have 2 forests. Like basically every single Summoner's Pact, I'm literally just viewing as like a forest kind of. So it makes me like want to play less forest. Like and it naturally makes me want to play less forest in my deck if you view it that way. Obviously, I mean, there's the generous end too if you have if you have enough time that can find a blue source. But yeah, um, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's that much more you want to say about the main deck. If you want to talk about the sideboard or sideboarding, or
Yeah, I mean, same about the sideboard because I'm really like stuck for, especially for some matchups. For example, against the Blink, this not Esper but
Just
Jeskai
Guy.
Blink. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I put in 4 disputes because like they play Teferi. Teferi they bring in a blue interaction after side, but I'm not sure should I bring into the Vladmo. And even if I do, I'm not sure what to cut. I cut like one Galta, one Xenagos because they have their white deck, so that is not gonna kill them. But I'm stuck. What else to cut?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and open up a Just Guy list just so I see exactly the Just Guy
Yeah.
blank list. I guess it's filed under deaths and taxes on this website I'm on, which is kind of troll, I guess.
Well,
Okay, I found it. Yeah, one second. I'm just gonna like look at what a stock list is like. I mean, I guess one last thing I'll say about preordain too is sometimes you keep a hand with Planner Genesis. Like you have Planner Genesis and Neoform, and you're looking for Rider, and like let's say you Planner Genesis and you hit 4 bricks. Like that's part of why I like preordain. It makes the Genesis harder to whiff because like at least if you hit nothing, if you have preordain, you can take preordain off Genesis more often. Anyway,
yeah,
so yeah, Jeskai, Blink. Yeah, I'm opening up a list to see the things because I saw they were changing a bit. Like the Strict Serenade's really scary. Like before, it seemed like they had no interaction. Now they play Strict Serenade. So let me break it down.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, there's a big difference between Esper and Jeskai, obviously, because like one big difference is like Mystical Dispute and Veil of Summer are both a lot better against Esper because like Mystical Dispute stops Frog, but obviously against Jeskai, like Mystical Dispute can actually buy you time. Like it can stop their threats against Esper, but against Jeskai, they play turn one Ragavan and your dispute looks, horrible. So it's obviously like
Yeah.
you can tell like, okay, dispute can be awkward against Ragavan sometimes. Then and like Veil of Summer, obviously, obviously against the Thoughtseize deck, it's better. But the Jeskai deck just doesn't play that as many counter spells. Like they don't play that many counter spells compared to the Esper deck.
Hmm.
And also it like exacerbates the issue where like if they play turn one Ragavan and you have Veil, it can be kind of slow. But obviously now that they have Strict Serenade, like it looks like they have a decent amount if they're playing like 3 Strict Serenade and Mystical Dispute and whatever. Um, so yeah, I mean that's a big difference between them. I mean, I guess you can start with like Floodmaw. I mean, if they don't like, it depends how much. Like I see what this list has an Ashiok. Like what would you want Floodmaw more, like if they have specific hate cards or
I don't know. I mean, uh, I think they play like what, one Ashiok or something like that. But they play Teferi, and I found it incredibly difficult to win through Teferi, even if I combo off. Because I sometimes I have a full hand with interaction, but I can't use it.
yeah, I see. So like considering one for like a Teferi, um, like how many would you side in? Just like one or
I mean, uh, uh, I, there's no amount that I decided. I mean, when I tested with my friends, sometimes I brought in one, sometimes I brought in three. It depended on like on the game, how I was feeling. I was just
yeah,
testing to see how it would be.
yeah. I mean, I guess I would say it was Floodmaw. Yeah, because back when I was playing, it was more Esper, and I kind of took a more like self-destructive view, but maybe since the Jeskai matchup is better, because I did realize that like if you try and put Griselbrand in play and they have a Teferi out, sometimes that can be not that great for you or whatever. Um, and my view kind of became that like I was like, well, people say that the Esper matchup is bad for Neoform, and I was like, most of that's because it's hard to resolve a Neoform. So I was like, if I was like, I don't know if I want to even start planning for like once I resolve a Griselbrand, and like even then it's not that bad against Teferi because I mean it's not like I tested like oh they have Teferi, let's see what happens. I guess it's kind of a contextual thing where like but it was like, okay, they can have a Teferi. Like, let's say I get a Griselbrand out, they have a Teferi, and then I draw like 14 cards, and then I can, like play more riders, whatever. They can bounce my thing. But it's kind of awkward because a lot of my cards that I'm drawing are instants. Like, I'm drawing Consigned to Memory, I'm drawing Pact of Negation, I'm drawing Dispute, I'm drawing Veil of Summer. So, like, a lot of the cards you draw are like instants. The only cards you can really cast are your creatures. But, like, post board, you sided in against this is Esper, so just to go back to how I was thinking about it before, was like, well, then the plan against the fairy is like just play every Hooting Mandrills and Allosaurus Rider you draw, and then like just hope that somehow that works because like it's basically it's like already hard to resolve it, and like it kind of depends if they have an engine. Like if they don't, if they it's kind of like if they have a Quantum Riddler or if they have like a Garaios or if they're if they have a big engine, then their Teferi can like do enough. But like if it's just Teferi by itself, then you can outcard it. Anyway, so I was kind of like I kind of realized. I guess what I'm saying is like I kind of realized Teferi could not, like, sometimes there would be times where you get Griselbrand, it's not good against Teferi, but I'm like, okay, like, what can I do? Like, a lot of people were playing, what was it called, Ureni, the pro-white creature, and I was kind of, like,
Yeah.
a little bit skeptical on it, because I was like, I still feel like most of the time it's going to be better to get Griselbrand, like, at least, like, more than 70% of the time you're going to get Griselbrand, especially because you can get Ureni and you could still lose. Like, if they have Quantum Riddler, they can just block it, ephemerate it, like, they can beat a Ureni. It's not unbeatable. So I was like, because I was like, in my head, like I'm like, okay, let's say I play this matchup a million times. Like most of the time, I'm gonna get Griselbrand. Sometimes I get Ureni, I'm gonna lose anyway. Blah blah blah. So I just felt like it was too bad to play a toolbox creature to hedge for Teferi. But it's not like I tested that theory that much. Then like yeah, I mean I could see. I think like it's kind of like yeah. The Floodmaw thing's kind of interesting. I never really thought about it, but it's like yeah, maybe you could consider like one or two Floodmaws. Obviously, if they have actual hate cards, the Floodmaw gets way better, right? Like if they have Ashiok or I don't know, some lists have High Noon. I don't know, like if they have those kind of
Yeah.
cards, then then you can side in one or two Floodmaws and not feel as bad about it, and like you can maybe bounce the Ragavan or Felia sometimes or whatever. Obviously, the biggest cost with and I guess okay, like one other distinction I guess to make between like Esper and Jeskai that makes it very weird is what I was saying before. Like a lot of your ways that you try to beat the blue decks is with Veil of Summer and Dispute, but Jeskai is almost more like a Boros deck splashing blue. So like a lot of those protection cards aren't that easy to use against them. For example, subtlety. So like what I mean is hooting mandrills. Like against Esper, my plan was to side in all my hooting mandrills, and that was like a part of the plan against them because they had like a lot of subtle. I mean, not that many, but they had like like let's say two subtleties or whatever, and obviously Veil of Summer doesn't work against subtlety, whatever. So anyway, so because a lot of back then a lot of lists had 2-3 subtleties, so I was playing a lot of hooting mandrills, but it looks like these Jeskai lists, I'm trying to see how many subtleties do they play. Like they don't play that many. It looks like
Yeah, I
it looks
think
like they
it's
play like one and a
one or
half.
two. Yeah, one.
Yeah.
Yeah. One or two in the side.
So yeah, that becomes kind of a weird thing where like you have to be like, okay, do I want all my hooting mandrills in the matchup? I mean, I guess it's good against strict serenade, kind of, because if they have like a million
Yeah.
strict serenades, then it's like, okay, maybe I don't want as many riders. Maybe I want to do this hooting mandrills plan because of strict serenade. So it's similar, but I guess like you kind of need to identify like each part of like how you're navigating the matchup. So like one of the first things in like the Jeskai matchup I would start with before I even get into anything else is like how many hooting mandrills do I want? Because if you how many hooting mandrills do you want, it's going to inform other stuff that's happening. So like I guess if they have a bunch of strict serenade, maybe you're like, okay, I want all the mandrills. But I guess what I mean is like the Jeskai deck has like less interaction than Esper, so in that way it kind of makes it more like it's harder for you to just be like max defense because they might be faster with Ragavans or whatever. But I guess if they have Ashioks, that makes Dispute better too. So that's kind of where I would start with the Mandrills. And you can see Mandrills has some utility against Teferi. I think that's another thing to define is like the situations where Teferi's beating you. It's like how winnable is it with a tutorable creature anyway? Because I was saying like if you get, I guess like it makes sense with Grizzlebrand because if you get Grizzlebrand, you draw 14 cards and you bounce their Teferi, and then it's like okay, now I can use all my disputes and consigns and whatever. But it's also kind of funny too because like often I was siding out my Nourishing Shoals against these, control decks because it's for like, maybe it's obvious, but it's kind of funny that like if you add a card like Floodmaw, it's like, oh, this card's good in the situation that you're drawing cards with Grizzlebrand, and it's like, well, Nourishing Shoal would also be kind of good there, and Nourishing Shoal is
Yeah.
green, but I'm siding it out, and like, so I don't know. That's kind of funny, and yeah, obviously that's what I mean about the other thing. It's like obviously probably the biggest like if Into the Floodmaw was well, it's kind of weird with Hooting Manuals too, because like the more like you're relying on Hooting Manuals, like you could say the less that the green pitch count matters. Like it kind of depends how many Allorasaurus riders you plan to leave in the matchup. But obviously, I guess what I'm getting at is obviously Floodmaw being not green can be considered, a downside with Teferi. But yeah, I mean, I could see considering one or two, especially if they have Ashioks. Like if they, I don't know like how the high noons would play against them. Like I haven't played against Jeskai with high noons, and like how important it is to bounce high noons or whatever. I could imagine it being pretty important because like if they have high noon in play, you just like can't, you go for combo and then they just counter it and then you lose. So I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense to board in a couple of flood mods, but like I would say it would vary. Like if my opponent has like two high noons and an Ashiok, I'd be like, yeah, maybe I want to board in a couple flood mods just so that I can like bounce those cards. Like whatever, and yeah, I mean it seems reasonable. Obviously, like it'll come breaking down to like what you side out, but like I could like there are definitely matchups where like I'm like I don't necessarily want all my Veil of Summers in this matchup, though it's kind of funny because like one of the big things about like Veil of Summer was like if people have more subtleties, it makes your Veil of Summer like less reliable. But if they're playing strict Serenade, then Veil of Summer is pretty good against if somebody's running up with 3 strict Serenade. But they don't like so yeah. Anyway, I guess what I was saying is like how many Veil like you don't. It's not obvious that you always want 4 Veil of Summers. Like I think I've even played against Affinity where I've like considered trimming out some Veil of Summers because I was just like, oh, I want all my disputes and I'm like, I think Pact of Negation might be better than Veil of Summer, and it's like I don't like even though they're like a mono blue deck, it's not obvious to me that I want all my Veil of Summers. So I guess like I could say that about Jeskai. Like maybe you don't want all 4 Veils. Like it's not 100%. I guess I'd have to see the actual numbers, like what's coming in and out. I don't know if like you have a sideboard plan you've been doing or if particular cards you're unsure
Oh
about.
no. I mean, I'm like 100% stuck on sideboard. No, not only what to bring in, but what to put in sideboard. For example, I know that like 4 disputes are easy. Like 2 or 3 Floodmoors easy. Like oh, I claim 1 or 2. I mean, same. Four Veils in 75 probably, but on everything else, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is actually one of the biggest things I like about preordain. When I was realizing, like, I feel like preordain makes it easier to sideboard flexibly because, like, let's say I'm talking about like, oh, against these blue decks, or against when people have disruption, I'm like, oh, maybe I want to sideboard out some Allura Source Riders or some Summoner's Pact, and it's like, if you don't have preordain, you might not be able to do that because if you don't have preordain, you can't like use Hooting Mandrills reliably enough. Or like sometimes, like when I was playing against these blue decks, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna side out 2 Eldritch Evolutions. But it's like if you don't have preordain, like you do need to draw a Neoform effect every game. If you don't have preordain, maybe like it fucks up, like you can't sideboard it. Because actually, I was writing, like I wrote in the article like about the blue matchup, and what I realized about the matchup, like what makes it kind of weird against blue decks is like usually when you play combo decks against Counterspell, your plan is you just play your combo card, your KCI, your Show and Tell, your Primeval Titan, they counter it, you move on, you keep going. The problem with Neoform, though I realized, is like drawing 2 Neoforms is a lot worse than drawing 2 Primeval Titans because like as soon as you cast Neoform, you have to at minimum sacrifice the Hooting Mandrills. So like basically what I realized is like when you like most combo decks are like they just keep casting combo pieces, but Neoform is kind of like it can only really combo off once or twice in the game. So like when you go for it, you have to be all in. And also like drawing multiple copies of Neoform is like can be like pretty dead. Like if you have 3 Neoforms, it's like completely useless. Whereas if you have 3 Show and Tells, it's like very good, right? So it kind of made me realize that like the way I need to approach the blue decks is I have to like really protect my Neoform. And then that's why it kind of made sense to me, like because normally when you play a combo deck, you wouldn't cut your like Neoforms against counterspells because you're like, well, I need to keep playing it into counterspells. But with Neoform, it was like actually drawing multiple Neoforms can be pretty bad against the blue deck because I can only cast it once or twice. So that's why I was like, okay, that's why it kind of made sense to me to cut 1 or 2 Evolution against the very like, heavy counterspell blue decks and be like, I'm just going to focus on like protecting my 1 Neoform, try and win on turn 4, turn 5. Obviously against Jeskai, it's kind of weird because they're not like you have to like be like how much interaction do they actually have, and they're almost like Boros aggro splashing blue. I mean they have like I don't know 6 counter spells, so I guess that's a decent amount. But you know what I mean? It's like it's not like they're a control deck with like 15 counter spells or whatever. So it was like evolution. So then it's like, oh, if you cut too many evolutions against, what's it called, Boros, or Jeskai, then it's like, oh, well, maybe now then you become too slow, and then they just kill you as Ragavan and Riddler or whatever. So that's, you have to vary by like how much interaction they have. But I guess, I would say like I do feel like the preordain helps with like the sideboard cohesion in my mind for, what I was saying, lets you flexibly sideboard, whatever. And like makes the mandrills better because like if you want to go all in mandrills, it's harder to do without the preordains. Especially if like was the
The more you're talking, the more you're selling me the preordains.
Yeah, and I was like,
because everything makes perfect sense when you say it. I mean,
yeah, and also like the other thing about preordain, like I'll say, is because like. The reason why I felt fine playing it is like a lot of people were like scared about all these things about preordain. I'm like literally like worst case scenario, how bad can it be? Like everybody's like these are all the things that are bad about it. It's like if you're being the most pessimistic, I don't know how bad preordain can be. You know what I mean? Like in the worst case situations, I feel like it's not that bad. So I mean it just made sense to me, especially like when you think like Neoform does have a lot of trouble. Like again, I felt like when I was playing the original list, it felt pretty awkward to sideboard when I knew my opponent had hate cards like Vexing Bauble, and it's like it's very hard to side in cards like Nature's Claim because like my combo is like so card intense, and it's like I don't have that many copies because like let's say your opponent has Vexing Bauble, you can't really side in that many copies of Nature's Claim because then your deck just doesn't work. So that's obviously I like cantrips for that. And I mean we could talk. I mean I felt reasonable at the sideboard I built. Obviously I wrote in the article, but part of the debate, like I didn't not play Nature's Claims or whatever because I was against them, but it's because like I wanted to side in like a million cards for the blue decks, and then like I felt like I didn't have space for Nature's Claims, but also it wasn't as like a big thing also back then was like back then Boros Energy. I actually thought Boros Energy was going to be the most popular deck at the PT, and I thought Flood Maw was better than Nature's Claim. I mean maybe it's obvious, but it's like they play creature. Sometimes they have creature hate cards like Ranger Captain or Containment Priest. Obviously, Flood Maw's not perfect against Priest, but it's better than Nature's Claim. But like I guess what I'm saying is like I realize like a lot of the Boros Energy list, they didn't play a lot of hate, but they would have like 2 or 3. They would have like 2 Vexing Baubles and like 1 High Noon or whatever. or like one Blood Moon, whatever. So it felt kind of bad to side in Nature's Claim, knowing that your opponent only has like 2 hit cards, and like their hit cards aren't even that good, because like their Vexing Baubles aren't even that good. Sometimes you could consign them or whatever. And also, like, I noticed about Flood Maw was that it had utility against other stuff. Like, if they went, like, turn 1 Ocelot Pride, you can Flood Maw it, and obviously it's not, like, good, but it's, like, a lot, it's pretty good. Like, if you just turn 1 bounce their Ragavan, turn 1 bounce their whatever, especially with Hooting Mandrills. Because I noticed that, like, Hooting Mandrills was a card that I didn't mind against Jeskai, or Boros Energy, because they have Auram's Chant. Like, one of the most popular hates they were playing then was Auram's Chant, and, like, Hooting Mandrills is good against Auram's Chant. Because, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like,
I understand it.
And they also played, what was the other one they played? That Vexing Bauble, too. So, like, obviously, Hooting Mandrills is good against Vexing Bauble, it's good against Orm's Chant, but, like, it's slow, right? So, like, if they go turn 1 Ocelot Pride, like, obviously, Flood Maw is good with Hooting Mandrills. Like, it's kind of obvious, because, like, it gets Delve, makes the game slower, whatever. And also, like, it's just obvious. Like, sometimes people were complaining to me that, like, they would put Grizzlebrand or Atraxa and then they would lose against Energy. And obviously, if you have a bunch of Flood Maws in your deck, it makes it easier to win when you have Grizzlebrand or Atraxa out, because then you can start bouncing their Rajanis and bouncing whatever, their God of Souls, whatever. I had some people claiming they couldn't outgrind them before, and it's like, okay, well, if you have a bunch of Flood Maws, then it's way easier to win. So, anyway, I guess the core, like, I thought Flood Maw was a better removal spell against Energy than Nature's Claim, and I thought Energy was going to be the most popular deck. And I don't know, I just felt like there was, like, a lot of, like, awkwardness with Nature's Claim, and, like, I just like the versatility of Flood Maw, because, like, against Eldrazi, they have Thought-Knot Seer sometimes, and, like, Nature's Claim isn't even that good against Affinity. Like, I noticed with Consign, because at first you'd be like, oh yeah, Consign's going to be great against Affinity, and then you, like, look at the deck, and it doesn't hit anything, except for, like, Urza Saga. And, like, it's kind of similar with Nature's Claim. Like, the Affinity deck doesn't usually play that many cards that are actually good to disenchant. Like, obviously, Urza Saga is, like, amazing to disenchant, or, like, pretty good, but you know what I mean? It's not like, like, most of their cards are good against removal, I guess. Like, so it wasn't like, I didn't feel like, Nature's Claim is so insane. Like, I guess the best decks for Nature's Claim, you can argue, is the Urza Saga decks, because it's, like, obvious, that they play Urza Saga, you Nature's Claim it, it's good.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't feel like it was that insane against Amulet or Affinity, which are the most popular Urza Saga decks. And also, Consign already has some overlap, because Consign's already pretty good against Urza Saga. And also, like, Amulet's already, like, probably one of your best matchups, too. And, like, Affinity was kind of, so the thing about Affinity is so much of their interaction was, like, counter spells. Like, I was saying how, like, I didn't even want all my Veil of Summers necessarily against them. And, like, in that situation, it's, like, kind of hard. Like, it's kind of hard to be that excited about Nature's Claim when they play a bunch of counter spells or whatever. Obviously, it's fine against Saga, but you know what I mean? It's like, anyway, so that's why I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I need Claim. Because if you really think about it, like, what matchups do you really need Claim? And again, so many of the hate, like, I wanted the versatility, because, like I was saying, it's very hard to side in interaction for your opponent's interaction. And, like, what if they just randomly play, like, a Containment Priest or a Ranger Captain of Eos, and you have a Nature's Claim, and it just feels horrible? Or, like, you're just playing a slow game with Hooting Mandrills, and you just want to bounce something random. Anyway, so that's why I was kind of into Flood Maw, or, like, I don't know, just nightmares of, like, having Nature's Claim and my Eldrazi opponent has Thought-Knot Seer. Like, I was just being, I was like, that seems bad to me. And, like, I was, like, not necessarily that concerned about the green count with Flood Maw in some of these situations, in the terms of, like, if it's post-board, you get more draw steps. So it's like you have more time to draw green cards, and, like, the Flood Maw buys you time to draw green cards. So it's not like, it's not like you're like, oh, I have Flood Maw in my opening hand, I can't combo against Energy. It's more like, I have Flood Maw in my opening hand against Energy, I can just wait until turn 3, turn 4, because you know what I mean? Like, that, yeah. So, that's what I felt with Flood Maw. The Terastodon was me being lazy, to be honest. I mean, Belcher looks like it fell way off, which is a big difference. Like, back at the PT, Belcher was, I think, might have been the most popular deck, so I was respecting it a lot. And I noticed that, like, I mean, yeah, when they have Belcher in play, sometimes they would play Belcher, I would play Grizzlebrand, and then I would lose because I couldn't remove the Belcher. So that's where, the Nature's Claims can have utility, like Nature's Claims against Belcher and stuff. But I didn't want to play it because I wanted too many other cards, so I just put Terastodon so I could Neoform a Terastodon if they put Belcher in play. And, like, I didn't even know if it was, like, that good. Like, I didn't know if in reality it would work, but I didn't really have time to test, and I'm like, hey, this is better than nothing. And also the other thing about, actually, that was funny too, was I actually felt like Galta, like, Belcher was one of the worst matchups for Galta, because, like, I would definitely trim to, like, one Galta against, whatever, Belcher, because, like, if you put Grizzlebrand in play, like, you're probably going to win. Obviously, you could draw Grizzlebrand, and then, like, you want the Galta put it into play, but I'm like, maybe I could just side out my Galtas, and, like, if I draw my Grizzlebrand, then I can just get Terastodon or Atraxa, and, like, maybe it's not that good, but I'm like, my win rate's already bad, and I'm already creating some corner case situation or whatever, So that's why I had the Terrestrial. I guess it's kind of random. Maybe it has utility against some Teferi decks. I don't know. Then Attraction, I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's for Hooting Mandrill, so you have another 7-drop. Then the Flood Maw I talked about. The Mandrills, I was kind of into because back then Esper Garaios was like super popular, and it felt like they played 2+ subtleties. So I don't know. Also, like I would probably play at least 3 Hooting Mandrills just because it has utility against so many hates. Like I was talking about, like it's good against Aurum Chant, it's good against Vexing Bauble. Like against Eldrazi, I'm happy deciding my Hooting Mandrills because they're playing all these, whatever they play. What's it called? Like Vexing Bauble, whatever. And then the Sea Beyond was kind of a weird one. That was again like I don't know if it's that good, but like I wanted more. Like I was saying, like I wanted more cantrips against blue decks because I was saying like you want to like have one big combo turn where you just go all in. So I just wanted more ways to sculpt to it, and like I like that Sea Beyond like shuffled in my guys. Like I tried the other cards. I mean, it's what I read in the article. Like I tried Tamio, it just felt kind of slow, and I mean it's fine. Like if you play Tamio, I mean I don't think people play it anymore, but like it just felt slow. Like it felt like I had to be too like I was dreaming too much when I had it. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, and I didn't like that. Sometimes it was bad. Basically, that was my experience with Tamio. But obviously it's a fine card. I just didn't like that. Sometimes it was bad. And then like Brain Surge, I really wanted Brain Surge to be good. But what I realized is you're siding it for decks with counter spells, and like if they like Fluster Storm your Brain Surge, it feels really bad. Obviously it depends what counter spells people are actually playing, but I don't know. It was a similar thing to Tamio, where like the problem with Neoform was like you don't have that much interaction for your opponent, so like your opponent can turn the corner really quickly. And it felt like Brain Surge was just too slow. Like turn 4 combo was sometimes too slow against Gorios and whatever. So I like that Sea Beyond, at least if I draw it, at least I can cast it and then untap on turn 3, at least. And like, so that's why I had it. And I was like, I don't know, like it's fine. It's like bad preordained, whatever. I don't care. It does the same thing as Endurance. And I wanted to side in a bunch of cards because I had the plan to like side out a bunch of Summoner's Pact and Trim Riders and like Trim Evolution and just sideboard like a million cards against these blue decks. And like just be like more all in on like I'm gonna go off in one turn. So that was kind of like Sea Beyond was another function of like I want more cards to side in. But also like against Eldrazi, like actually I think Sea Beyond could be good against some Eldrazi decks, which might sound weird. But I actually noticed sometimes the Eldrazi matchup plays out closer to like a blue deck. Because like they have so much hate that like a lot of like on average the Eldrazi player is gonna play like 1.5 hate cards against you. And I noticed against Eldrazi, it's total like you don't like at first I was like it feels like you need a rush because you're like, oh they have Tron. If it gets to turn 3 or turn 4, they have Tron, it's too late. But kind of what I realized is the way that the Eldrazi matchup plays out, it's like they're just going to mulligan into like 1 or 2 hate cards, and then they're going to clench and hope it works. But like they're like one of the worst decks against Xenagos Galta. Like they have basically no way to interact with Xenagos Galta. So like if you go like turn 4, turn 5 combo, you know what I mean? Like you can just go Xenagos Galta, and like I kind of started approaching Eldrazi more like it's Belcher, more like it's Garaios, because that was actually a shocking thing of the PT. This was why I realized a lot of people had problems with Neoform. At the PT win rates, Neoform's win rate was like not good against Energy, which is like, first of all, that has to be like there's no way it can't be good against Energy. But it also like it wasn't very good against Eldrazi, and I was a victim of it because I played against Eldrazi 4 times at the PT, and I went 1-3 against it, which felt really bad because on theory it's a good matchup. But like the way the games played out, it like I mean I think I should have like. I didn't run that well, but it's not like they got like that insanely lucky against me. And like, the other thing I noticed too is after I looked at the win rate, like the win rate of Neoform against Eldrazi at the PT was like not good. Like it was like below 50%. And I'm like, this is really surprising because anybody would assume it's really good against Eldrazi. But I realized the way the game played out since I played it 4 times was like every game, like it felt like they went like, oh, Chalice, Kaz, Vexing Bauble will go, and then they would sit around and they wouldn't like turn the corner until turn 5, turn 6. So I realized I was going to approach the matchup more like, okay, I'm going to try and beat 1-2 interaction, try and be slower, and then Sea Beyond might actually be good. And I didn't even think about it until I played against like the third guy, and we were talking after, and like because every opponent was funny at the PT, like every opponent, they see the deck list, and all of them would say, what does Sea Beyond do? So like after the match, he was like, oh, like I actually thought Sea Beyond might be good against me, and I'm like, yeah, I was thinking that too because of the way the matchup plays, you're just playing hate cards, whatever. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying is like I think Sea Beyond can have utility against like non-blue decks too, like against like super prison decks where they're just like slamming interaction every turn. Like I think it's reasonable to consider against Eldrazi, and I did side it in against a lot of Eldrazi in the last round. That's when I finally won, and it was good because that's literally what happened. We went to game 2. I think like we both mulliganed to like I mulliganed to 4, he mulliganed to 5. I don't know, something like that. Or I think he mulliganed to 4, I mulliganed to 5. You see what I'm saying? Like Sea Beyond's good in that kind of a game when we're literally And then like I think in game 3 something similar happened where like turn 1 it just goes like hate card, go. And I'm like, then what I realized was like what was awkward against Eldrazi is like, let's say you have a hand that you have like a Lorosaurus Rider and like Neoform, and you're like, I'm gonna like it's what I guess what it boils down to is like it's there are some games where like Vexing Bauble is like really good against you, and like Sea Beyond like it's basically just the same thing as Preordain. It just gives you more ways to beat their Vexing Baubles because it's just kind of so annoying that like you have a perfect hand, but you're like I'm just gonna lose to Vexing Bauble. So it's just like more insurance for Vexing Bauble kind of, which I felt was good. Especially there were some hands where like I would have Aloris Source Rider but no Neoform, but like I felt like it was a good keep otherwise because like maybe I had a consign to memory, maybe I had like Preordain, like maybe like you don't need the whole like you can't keep the whole combo every game, right? So yeah, anyway, so I felt like yeah, I didn't mind CB for that, and also and just being like yeah, if they have hate cards plus Tron, you know that's beats or whatever. But most games realistically, they're gonna have hate cards and they're not gonna win until turn 5 or turn 6. And they're gonna win kind of slow. Obviously they have Karn, but like you have consign to memory or whatever, and like anyway, so yeah, that was some of my thoughts about Sea Beyond, I guess. Why I'm fine with it. Like it makes sense that you want more threats, quote unquote, in your sideboard, and like all the threats were just so bad. Obviously, it's like not that good of a card. Like it's gonna feel like a mediocre Preordain most of the time, but I didn't feel like Tomio or Brain Surge were that much better, and like I wanted more threats in my sideboard for like obvious reasons. That's kind of why I had it. That's kind of how I built my sideboard. I mean, the way the meta changed, like, I would say is like, yeah, the Jeskai decks got way more popular now. Like, it might be 15, I don't know what the meta percent will be, but like one of the most popular decks. And obviously it's different because you kind of need to identify, like, the reasons are different is like Veil and Dispute, which is your protection, is like less reliable. Because you almost have to be like, they're kind of like a Boros aggro deck with just a few counter spells. So it's kind of hard for you to sideboard against them because, yeah, for obvious reasons, it's kind of hard to construct a sideboard plan against that or whatever. You're not that flexible, and it's like I don't know, like that. Like I don't feel like the Neoform deck is like that flexible in terms of what it can do. Like I don't know if like you have a sideboard plan that you can construct that's that good against Jeskai, because like if they draw Ragavan and counter spells, it's just like really good against combo decks. Like what are you supposed to do? Like it's not like there's a Haymaker card that's insane. I mean, you can go really deep and try and think about splashing Teferi or whatever, but like Teferi's not necessarily that good against Ragavan. It has Brain Surge issues. And it's like it's not like you can play cards that are like that good against Ragavan. Like I don't know, maybe you could somehow think about something like, but it's like it's you know what I mean. Like maybe like you're like oh I like Tomio against Ragavan because it blocks it. I don't know, or something crazy. But yeah, like it's kind of like I guess what I'm saying is like it's kind of hard to like. There's not like obvious cards that you're like oh yeah this is the good Jeskai card, and it's like Jeskai's obviously popular. You kind of, but it's also like Jeskai is not like that bad of a matchup. It's more that they're just volatile, so you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, sometimes you have a Veil and they have subtlety and next game.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would say. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
There's one thing that popped to my head for Jeskai. They are the only deck that wants to counter my creature. Every other deck is gonna counter like Evolution or Neoform, but they sometimes with Serenade want to counter my creature. And there's one card that's really really good about that against that. Summoner's Cup.
Is that like the look at top 10 or top? Yeah, that's an interesting. I mean, the one thing I would do is the mask because it's like similar with Birthing Ritual. It's like. What is it like? The mass of you hitting might be kind of low because the deck doesn't actually play that many creatures. I forget how many.
But the thing is, well, in my head it was like I don't care even if I don't hit Grizzlebrand. Like
you hit another rider,
disciple, or it doesn't matter any creature because if I'm playing creature, I want the combo, and any creature on the board is gonna allow me to continue my combo.
Yeah, so you can just hit like any of the green creatures, top 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see considering it. I mean, the main downsides I could see with it is like it's like if you like, I guess like it comes down to like sideboarding and how many cards you're gonna do in total. Because it's like if you're gonna play 4 like something I noticed about Neoform is it has a lot of protection. Like if you have like 4 Veil, 4 Dispute, 4 Pact of Negation, you already have a lot of ways to protect your stuff to a degree. Obviously, like this is like way better than a lot of those things. Because what if they have two counter spells? Whatever. This is 0 mana. But that's like
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
would
yeah.
start with is be like that's one thing I noticed. Yeah, I mean, I could see it being worth considering. It would come down to like what's the overall meta? Like, do I need more sideboard cards for other matchups? Like, if Jeskai was 100% of the meta, for example, then it probably would make sense to play it. And also like it can obviously have awkward issues. Like it doesn't work against subtlety probably.
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't.
So like I don't know. I guess I would compare it to the other protection and be like, am I maxing out on the other protection, and is my other protection better? Because it's like you want to max out on like if you want to have all 12, it's like how much more protection do I really want than those 12 cards? Because also consign. I mean, I guess consign was funny because consign was like good. Consign was like kind of good against Gorios because like you could counter their subtlety, you could counter their solitude, whatever. I guess maybe you just leave them all in against Jeskai anyway for similar reasons, but it's probably not as good against Jeskai as it was against Gorios because you could even counter Attraction Trigger. But consign is almost like protection is kind of what I'm saying, but I guess it's not as much protection against whatever. But yeah, I mean, I would start by like, how much protection do I have? How much do I want? Is it better than my other protection spells? Maybe you could consider it. But that's like one thing that I think like sometimes people don't understand about Neoform, or like people will be like people will play too many like protection cards, and then they won't realize that this deck actually has a lot of good protection. The problem is it's hard to have protection plus combo in your hand,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Although like one other thing I would say, I mean maybe you don't do it, but like one thing that like bothered me when people were playing against blue decks is like people would just side out Pact of Negation too like against blue decks too much. I mean I don't know if you do that, but I felt like Pact of Negation. I don't know against Jeskai, but I feel like it's arguably one of your best cards against blue decks. And like sometimes I
yeah,
see
yeah,
people
yeah,
side
yeah.
it out. Yeah. So yeah, and yeah. Well, it sounds like you agree you're not doing that because yeah, I saw like I would watch people and they would just sign it. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm signing up Pact of Negation because my opponent's counter spells." I'm like, it's literally like the best card against counter spells, arguably. So I don't know if you want to do that. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, I could see trying it. Those are the questions I would ask myself. And yeah, that's kind of why I was lower on Nature's Claim. I mean, that's why I felt fine was the sideboard. Like, I mean, obviously, yeah, you just kind of look at the matches, be like, what cards do I want? How am I gonna sideboard? Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add, if that made sense or.
I mean, after talking about this, I'm definitely gonna try this list with preordain again, because I mean, you really sold it to me. It really everything makes perfect sense when
Yeah.
when you say it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, again, I don't know what to side out against most matchups. Like I don't know if I put in like 6 cards against some matchups, it's easy. Like Veil of Summer out and trim something else. But if Veil of Summer is good in the matchup, I'm not sure what to do. Like what cut 2 evolutions. If they are Solitude deck, cut 1 Galta, 1 Xenagos, and what else?
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
do
we
I
could.
cut
Yeah.
Pact or
Yeah. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of tricky questions. One second, I just need to go for like 30 seconds. I'll be back in a
Yeah,
second.
it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Okay, I'm back. I mean, yeah, there's a lot you can say about sideboarding, so I guess I'll look for places to start with it. I mean, I think the Eldrazi example kind of does show a good, kind of a way to think about, approaching sideboarding. Like some of the questions you ask are like, questions to ask are like, how fast do I need to be in the matchup? How much protection do I want, or whatever. Like the Eldrazi example is kind of a good one because like intuitively, I was like, oh, Eldrazi is a good matchup. Um, because by the way, are you there?
Hello.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, did you hear what I was just saying a second ago, or did you just get back?
No. Eldrazi is a good matchup. That's the last thing I heard.
Oh no, I was saying like Eldrazi is a good example of like how to think about
Yeah.
sideboarding because it kind of shows a lot of the elements. I mean, some of the questions I would be asking are like, you know, abstractly like how fast do I need to be? Like what kind of turn do I need to combo off? Like how much protection do I really want? Like how like there's a lot of questions asked, and I think the reason Eldrazi is a good example is it was like kind of counterintuitive because at first I was like, oh, I need to be really fast because they have Tron and they don't have a lot of interaction, so therefore I need to combo before they have Tron and take advantage of the fact they don't have a lot of interaction. But as I played the matchup more, I realized they actually had a good amount of interaction because they had a bunch of flutes, they had a bunch of and whatever. So then I kind of adjusted and I kind of was like, okay, I'm actually going to try and combo on turn 4. Like my plan is I'm going to try and beat them having 1 or 2 interaction spells because that's what I said the example. It sucks if you have a hand that has a combo and then you just lose to a Vexing Bauble. And then, so I was kind of like, okay, my plan is they're going to have 1 or 2 interaction and I'm going to try and beat on turn 4. I'm going to kind of sideboard with that in mind. So like those are kind of some of the questions I would ask. And like, you don't have to get too drawn to your first intuitions of the matchup. You can, kind of break it down more, or you show like the Esper Gorios. Like I was talking about, like Veil of Summer was like pretty good against Esper for these reasons, but like maybe it's less good against Jeskai for these reasons, or like even against Affinity. Like one thing I noticed against Affinity, I felt like I was one of the most overboarded matchups because like almost every card in my deck was good against Affinity. Like I wanted Mystical Disputes, I needed removal for their if they have Grafdigger's Cage. Like I wanted, and I wanted Nourishing Shoal against Affinity because if they have Kappa Cannoneer, like the life gain's irrelevant against them. So like Affinity was like one of the most overboarded matchups for me. And then I was just like really looking at it, and I wanted Pact of Negation. And then the problem with Affinity was that against most blue decks, I was siding out Rider, and I was siding out some packs and Riders and evolutions. The problem against Affinity was too fast. Like I couldn't, I couldn't just sit around with Hooting Mandrills, and they didn't even have subtlety anyway,
Yeah.
so it's not like it even made sense. So I'm like, okay, Affinity is a matchup where I want all the speed, and I also want all the anti-counter spell stuff, and I also want some removal for their if they have Grafdigger's Cage with their Saga. So that's when I was like, okay, then let me look at some. Like I'm like, maybe Veil of Summer isn't as good against Affinity because I like count how many counter spells they have, and it's like, let's say they have 4 Rebuke and 2 Force of Negation. Okay, that means they have 6 counter spells because it doesn't work against Sync and Stupor. Obviously, it just works against those 6 as a for the on the stack. So I'm like, well, actually, I have a lot of ways to interact with their counter spells because I have 4 Pact of Negations, which. And it's like, okay, then you can be like, what's better, Veil or Pact? But Pact 0 mana, which is nice, Veil's green, whatever. But also, a Pact of Negation can work in Sink into Stupor. I had some people who had 4 Sink into Stupors against me. And anyway, so I'm like, well, I already have Pact of Negation that's already good against Counterspell. I already have Mystical Disputes, which are already kind of good against their Counterspells. So I'm like, I already have 8 cards that are good against the Counterspells. And it's like, they don't even play that many Counterspells. Like, they have a good amount, but it's not like they have like a million. Like, they have like 6, I don't know, like, so a lot of people only had 4. Like, I played against people and they would have 4 Rebukes, no Force of Negation. I don't know what stocks now, I'd have to check. But then I'm like, okay, like at first I kind of assumed Veil of Summer is good because it's a mono blue deck that plays counter spells. But then I'm like, I already have enough protection against counter spells. Maybe I don't need all my veils. So I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need all my veils for these reasons. Like I haven't I guess you kind of need to identify like what are the different things you need. Like usually against counter spells you need these things, but like it gets weird. Like what if your opponent, like what if Hooting Mandrills isn't that good in the matchup because they don't have subtlety or they're too fast or whatever. And yeah, like I'm just like you're just looking at their interaction and how you interact with it. Like against Amulet Titan, like I played against one guy and he had for some reason he had 2 Mystical Disputes and like 4 Vexing Bauble. And I'm like, oh, Veil of Summer is like pretty good here, because whatever. But I guess like you could go like one by one. But I guess like that Affinity is a good example of like you have way too many cards in the matchup and you're like, okay, how am I supposed to approach the matchup when I have too many cards that I want? Like because I want life gain, I want everything, and then it's like, okay, maybe Veil of Summer's not. Maybe these cards aren't as good as I think whatever. Maybe I could just trim one thing here, one thing there, um, whatever. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, I don't know. Is there like any like particular matchups? Like we can go through some matchups and talk about it. Like obviously, Jeskai is kind of a really hard matchup to talk about. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. I don't know if there's a random example. You could say Boros Energy. I don't know any matchup.
Well, I think that Jeskai was like that. I think that was the biggest question for me. uh, about the other decks that I like, I I think that they're gonna be popular. Like I think that Jeskai, Prowess, Titan, Affinity, maybe Goryo and Boros are gonna be the most popular deck. Eldrazi maybe as well. And against the others, I think that I'm more or less okay. But Jeskai Blink is like it really confuses me because like everything that I side in is good and bad at the same time. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess I will say one thing that I found hard before going into Jeskai more is like there's some decks where like Pact of Negation's not that good against, but you might want it for speed. Like I noticed against Brood for example, like Pact of Negation might like be like it doesn't really protect your combo, but like what if you go for turn 2 Grizzlebrand and then they untap and they kill you as Brood? So that was like kind of a hard spot because I found like some of those creature combo decks, like let's say you played against a weird like nobody plays the deck, but like Samwise, like the Samwise Gamgee combo deck, like I think it can be kind of hard to sideboard against those decks because it's like not clear how many Pact of Negations or any that you want because it's like you're
Yeah,
not using it for defense, you're using it as interaction. So I guess like when Pact of Negations like a kind of okay in the matchup, that can get kind of weird. Like I found that's pretty weird. Like especially against Broodscale, it just feels so bad because you're gonna get you can get max punished either way. Like you can get max punished because you kept in Pact and it's just horrible, or you can get max punished because you like put Grizzlebrand in play and then they have Broodscale and you're like now I'm gonna die. This is horrible. Anyway, so
yeah.
that one can be hard. Yeah, we can start with Jeskai. I mean, we could just be like, like if you're playing a Jeskai, like how would you be, sideboarding? Like what would be your guess? Or I don't, I can say if I would do anything different
Well,
or
I
yeah.
I played like a couple of games just before you came with against my friend, and I'm not sure. I think that I always put in 4 mystical disputes, and I think I put one or I think I put both mandrills first time, and the second time I think I added I think 2 flood moors, something like this. I think
And what did you side out?
I cut like two. I think like it was 2 evolutions, Xenagos, 1 Galta, and I'm not sure.
And then you just didn't know
I'm
what
not
to do?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what to do, so I was like, I don't know, like cut 1 Pact, cut 1 Genesis, cut, just mixing because I don't know what to do next.
Yeah. So let me see. I mean, back when I used to play against Esper, I was like cutting my plan was partly to cut summoners packs and trim some riders. But again, the thing is about this Jeskai deck, it's not as all in. So like it's possible you want it. Like the big question is like basically the different like the question. Well, the thing about mandrills is like if you're siding in more mandrills and if you have 3 4 mandrills, then you have more creatures, right? So like maybe you're allowed to side out summoners pact or some Summoners Pact, but the difference is that Mandrills is a lot slower. So you know what I mean? It's like how much do I need the speed of the whatever? Though it does sound like if they have strict Serenade and whatever, if you have like a bunch of Mandrills, I could see maybe trimming. I mean, I would probably trim at least some Summoners Pact instinctively. Like if I'm siding in the Mandrills, like it doesn't seem too crazy, and like drawing too many creatures isn't necessarily that helpful. Um,
Yeah,
then like I would probably consider trimming the Nourishing Shoal just because they have Solitudes. They're not like super pressuring your life total like they have Ragavans, but I feel like I might consider cutting the Shoal just because like you're gonna have you know it's only good after you resolve Grizzlebrand. It's like I don't know if you
yeah,
can afford to need the help. Also, like one of the really big things about Shoal is that it's like for turn 2 combos, and like this is a matchup. Well, I don't know if I should go into the whole turn 2 thing, but like obviously against them you're gonna like combo on turn 2 less often. Like more often it'll be turn 3, turn 4. So then if it's turn 3, turn 4, it's easier to find consign because then you can Genesis into consign or you can Preordain into consign.
yeah.
But also, another thing about the turn 2. kill thing is that it's not like every time you turn 2 you need a consign. It's only if you turn 2 and cast a pact. But I guess you might cast pact of negation. But anyway, so like you are basically they're forcing you to combo in turn 2 less. Like if you play as Amulet Titan, a lot of times you literally have to combo in turn 2 against them. You don't always have to go in turn 2. What else? So yeah, so you could maybe trim some shoals. Obviously, it makes your Grizzlebrands better. Maybe you don't need that. Yeah, some people, yeah, it looked like you have the Xenagos in the pile, which seems reasonable, especially if you cut the more Summoners packs. Um, let's see, are the consigns all good? I mean, probably if they have utility, like what do they stop from them?
I think I
Cut a
went down
consign?
one consign. Yeah,
Yeah, that could be reasonable for
like
the same thing about Shoal. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like
I mean, I need it for my pacts, but there was a time if my opponent is not careful, I can consign the failure trigger when they try to bounce like their Teferi or their Riddler or something.
yeah. So you can consign against Felia. Um, but it's not like yeah. That's one thing with consign is like if consign is interaction, it gets better. Obviously, like if your opponent has two subtleties, then your consign gets better for obvious reasons. But like if the best it's doing is countering like a failure or fable, obviously it gets like a little bit worse. Um, so I could see like trimming one because it's a blue card, especially if you're siding in Flood Maws. Like, there's even worlds where you could like have a Nourishing Shoal over like a consign because at least it's green. But again, that depends on the amount of whatever. Say, oh, also consign hits Solitude, so that's kind of nice, I guess. So like, yeah, having but siding out one seems fine because like Solitude's obviously not the biggest priority to hit, right? Um, like let me see what else. Yeah, like I've definitely like I could see like siding out more like obviously it depends. Like if you're the preordained version, I could see siding out more packs. I would just be like probably trimming some
Yeah,
from the packs. Yeah, the Veil of Summer is kind of a big question because like let me see like a stock like it depends. Yeah, you have to ask like how many cards is Veil of Summer actually good against. So like let's say 3 strict Serenade, 2 force like I'm trying to see like how many force of negations they play. Yeah, they play like 1 or 2. Uh let me see what's average. It looks like almost 1 is average. So they don't play a lot of Oh, they play Dispute. That's the other one. So they usually play like 2 Dispute. Like they usually have 6 counter spells. So yeah, you don't necessarily need all the Veil of Summers. Like maybe you want 2 or 3. Um,
yeah,
yeah, because again, it's kind of funny because like as you were saying, sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really bad. Like some games, you're like, well, Veil of Summer, even though they don't have that many hits, you might feel like it's better than it seems because if they don't have a counter spell, then that's good for me anyway. But like that's kind of what I was saying about like you have a lot of protection. Like you're siding in disputes, you have Pact of Negation, you have a lot of protection. So if you have too much protection, it can go wrong. Um, yeah, I wouldn't cut Pact of Negation. I mean, yeah, it's like yeah. So like maybe you could trim one Veil, or you could leave all 3. Like if your opponent has less counter spells than normal, maybe you trim one. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would probably drawing more from the creatures because like if you're siding in Hooting Mandrills, then you can trim some Summoner's Pact, and like if you're siding in disputes, maybe you can like you don't need to side in you don't need all the veils in. I mean, yeah. So I mean, this seems like pretty close to 8 cards. Like you just like caught one more pact maybe, and I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. Like this is 7 cards, and you're siding out
yeah.
8 cards. I mean, yeah. So you have to side out one more card. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's pretty hard at this point. I mean, like
But
you
shoal.
like
I mean,
Oh yeah, the shoal. I thought said the shoals. Yeah, the shoals aren't very good. Like I could see siding out the shoals, or like just leaving one
would you
shoal
go?
in
Yeah.
the shoals. Because again, this is the difference. Like the other like if you have preordained, it's much easier to like sideboard out all the packs or more packs and be like this is fine. Whereas this version, it might be like okay, I need my creatures more, whatever, or like I only have 3 mandrills, whatever. So yeah, but like that's roughly what I would be doing. It's like what am I siding in? Like you know what I mean? It's like okay, I'm siding in disputes. I don't need all my veils. I'm siding in mandrills. Maybe I side out some creatures. I'm siding in flood mods. Maybe I side out some of my utility cards like shoals or whatever are the same or consign whatever similar roles. Like and again, yeah, obviously like there's awkward things against Jeskai, but it kind of makes sense. And yeah, like dispute's kind of awkward because if you actually break down similar, like what is dispute good against their deck? I mean, obviously it's good against. I mean, it seems like it's good against them. Like if they play a million planeswalkers, but like it's good. It hits Riddler, it hits, Teferis, and it hits their counter spells. But, it can obviously, if they go Felia, Ragavan, some games it won't look amazing or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mostly Ragavan, but like, yeah, I mean, obviously it's really bad against Ragavan because they make treasures too. But it makes sense that you want it all, I guess, because like it hits their counter spells and it hits their, hitting like the thing is hitting Riddler is like not that good, but at least it's better than you know, it's like I'm not like yeah, you're
If
obviously not signing it in to hit Riddler. Sorry, yeah.
yeah, I mean, if they go Felia turn 2 and then they try to turn 3 Riddler, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
mostly mean it's like you're not signing in dispute to hit Riddler. It's mostly nice that you can hit
Yeah,
it
yeah,
because
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
will
yeah.
like if they play Riddler, you're gonna dispute it most of the time. But like you're not signing it in. Like it's not like oh yeah, I'm gonna get it or whatever. It's almost kind of a little bit similar with Teferi. I mean, obviously if you hit Teferi, it feels really good, but it's you're not signing in dispute as the plan to hit Teferi. It's more like you're signing it in because they have like 5 or 6 counter spells, and then it's also pretty nice that you can hit these other things. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense to have 4 disputes. Like it seems probably better than Veil probably. And like yeah, when I was playing the other list, like sometimes I would trim like maybe one rider or whatever, and like I would consider siding like if you're playing 4 Mandrills, I might consider the Atraxa over something because like it
Mm.
makes your Mandrills a little bit better, and like I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
so like I could see it maybe. Like I was pretty often signing in both my Atraxas if I had 4 Mandrills just so that like I could Neoform them and have 2 hits in my deck. But obviously it's kind of marginal and like you don't have to do it because it's like it cuts both ways. Like there's pros and cons both ways, but it's not something I'd consider. I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense to side in 2 Floodmaw. But like obviously it'll like there'll be variables. Like if they have no High Noons, no Ashioks, then like the Floodmaw will literally only be there for Teferi, and then it's like okay, that's a bit more narrow. You know what I mean? But then maybe you want one
Yeah,
because maybe that comes up enough. I mean, obviously you can bounce a Ragavan or whatever or Ophelia, but you know what I mean. You're obviously not signing in Floodmaw was wanting to hit those cards. It's
for
like
that, yeah.
you're signing it in because you want to hit Teferi. But it seems like a lot of people play High Noon. So like if a lot of people play High Noon, like it looks like the average list plays like 1. It looks like most people play 2 or 0. So I mean that's not that much, but like it is like if they have like 2 hate cards, it's kind of nice to side in, some removal. It looks like Ashiok's getting less popular, but is kind of like the average list has 1. So especially everybody talks about Amulet, so I feel like that will make people want Ashioks because I feel like people keep talking about banning Amulet or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah. I mean that's what I would say for that matchup. I don't know if you want to add anything or
I, that was very insightful.
yeah. And I don't know. I guess I would
We're
say yeah.
gonna try this.
I would say like it's
No,
fine to be comfortable with yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no. I want to say. Tell.
I was gonna say it's fine to be comfortable with some risk because sometimes like people will say something that can go bad, and it's like I'm fine if that happens. Like I mean, I guess what I'm saying is like let's say you play against them and you lose a game because they solitude all your creatures and you get decked out. It's like okay, depending how I played, but like I'm like I can be comfortable with that. Like if that happens, I'm not gonna be like freak out. Like I need to radically
Yeah,
change
yeah,
my deck because what? Yeah. So it's like if that happens, maybe that happens. Maybe you like maybe that makes you want to have an extra tracks or whatever. But it's not like that's one thing I do. I've heard people talk about getting milled out by solitude decks, but like you have consigned to memory. It's like yes, it can happen, but it's like not that easy for it to happen. Like you have like if you draw your whole deck, you have all these consigned to memories. Also, if you sign in all the hooting mandrills, I'm not saying they're good threats or whatever, but like you gotta put like you know what I mean? Like you gotta just put a bunch of 4/4s in play. Like I played games where I almost decked myself. I guess I'm just pointing out like I mean, not to go on a random rant about solitude, but like I find it kind of odd when people are like, "Oh, Solitude's really good against Neoform," which like doesn't really make that much sense to me because like Swords to Plowshares isn't that good against Grizzlebrand. Obviously, there's situations. It's more like if you're already losing, and then they Solitude your Grizzlebrand, yeah, then it's pretty good against it. But that's like obviously if you draw 20 cards, like or if you draw 4, like I guess yeah, I felt like people get yeah, I mean, I guess I'm saying like if weird things happen with Solitude, I'm not gonna completely panic. Like it might happen sometimes. I don't know. I mean, I guess keep an eye for it, but you have consigns which help. I guess. Yeah.
yeah. I understand. I mean, if they 2 for 1 themselves to exile my Grizzlebrand and I draw 7 or 14 cards, I should be okay with that.
Yeah, like it's only bad in like the situation where like oh they have everything going and you're already losing and then you lose and it's like and maybe it's a close game you said like with Teferi, but there's other things going on. It's not like your Grizzlebrand lost in their Solitude. It's like you already lost, then you put a Grizzlebrand in play and you were just too far behind already. it's kind of like you can't. I expect everything from the world from the card. Like one analogy I think a lot is like one thing I realized was Neoform was like people were getting very obsessed was like they would put Grizzlebrand in play and lose, and they'd be like, I can't believe I didn't win 100% of the time. And it's like it's kind of like Reanimator or Show and Tell. It's not like you always won every time you reanimated Grizzlebrand or Show and Tell Grizzlebrand. It's just like you win 80 like most of the time, and that's good enough. Especially for anybody who played Legacy when there was Caracas, like if you Show and Tell that, like I feel like it's kind of like a similar thing. Like you can't just be like, oh, Show and Tell's a bad deck because Caracas exists. It's like like just
Yeah.
that's how I felt sometimes with some of these things. It's like, yeah, I mean, if they Caracas your Emrakul, it sucks, but like, I don't know, it was like still a good plan. So, yeah. I guess what I was saying, yeah, the post-war games can get weird. Yeah, I don't know if there's other matchups you want to talk about, or if you want to say more about Jeskai.
There's just one thing. I think we already touched up upon it for Ureni. I mean, I don't like her in main deck, but and I'm pretty sure I don't like her even in sideboard. But maybe I'm not sure if it's too narrow. Sometimes like to go Ureni, like if they have Ragavan and something else on some like Teferi or something on board, if I succeed in comboing, like Ureni can potentially kill a Planeswalker and Ragavan or Felia or something. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it's a she's worth that extra slot inside against them just for well a couple of percentages or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could see playing Ureni, like, kind of my pro, and I got it before Jeskai, so like, if it's good against Jeskai, it could be better. I guess the biggest problem with Ureni is like, what are the games where you fetch it, but you still just lose anyway? That's kind of the big question you have to ask. And also, like, the other thing I realized is, like, a lot of times, if they have Teferi, like, you have to, like, I feel like a lot of the situations people were talking about where Teferi Ureni would be good, like, Grizzlebrand's going to be better. Or I guess another way to put it is, like, I feel like most of the time you're going to want to fetch Grizzlebrand. It's not like you're going to be like, oh, I'm playing against the white deck, now I'm going to fetch Ureni. Like, if you turn to Neoform, you know what I mean? You're going to get Grizzlebrand, like, like a good amount of the time.
Yeah.
So, like, it wasn't like, oh, this is my card that I'm going to get. It's like, this is the card that I'm going to get in a situation that's bad for me. That's so bad for me that Grizzlebrand or Atraxa is not even going to work. But, like, obviously, yeah, if they have Teferi, then it can be kind of nice to remove it because it can feel like, especially if you're low life or whatever, like, getting a Grizzlebrand or an Atraxa against Teferi doesn't feel that good. So I could see it being reasonable. I was just kind of concerned that, like, my big concern with Ureni was like I get it and I just lose because it's too bad. Because like the problem with Ureni is like you're kind of going all in with it. Like obviously maybe you have one or two other spells, but like you're kind of basically it's like just throwing your whole hand for this one Ureni. It's like your one spell, so it kind of has to carry the whole game almost. Like maybe you have one or two other spells, and like the problem is like I don't know how they sideboard. Like if they side out all their flages, but like there are situations where like a single flage can race your Ureni, right? Because like if they have a flage and you have a Ureni, you can't kill it. Or like they have a Riddler and Ephemerate. So I guess I would just be thinking like, how many games is my Ureni not good enough? But obviously on the other side, it's like how many games do I get to kill it to Teferi and then I win? But like, so I could see it. Like that was my big problem was against energy. Was I felt like against energy, like just Boros energy. Like my problem with Ureni was like if they have a flage and I get it on like turn 3 or turn 4. Like, my Ureni's just going to lose the race to the Flage. But then, like, some people are apparently signing out all their Flages, which, like, kind of makes sense. But obviously, like, if everybody has Ureni, you should probably leave some in. But anyway, that would kind of be my big question. It's like, yeah, how many games am I going to lose with Ureni just because my opponent has Riddler Ephemerate or because they get the time to get to Flage? Because, I mean, yeah, the Jeskai deck plays Flage, obviously, so, maybe they side it out. But, like, you know what I mean? You can imagine you have Ureni. Like, the Flage is super awkward because it's not like, because the game 3 life just instantly gets them more time in the first place. You know what I mean? But obviously, I guess it's different because like against Boros Energy, they had so much life gain because they had Guide of Souls and Ocelot Pride.
Yeah.
So it was so easy for them to get above 20. I guess for this Jeskai deck, it's like harder for them to get above 20 because like they don't have Guide of Souls and like they're gonna shock themselves way more. So like even if they gain like the problem with Boros is if they gain 3 life with Flage, they're at 22 and now it's like horrible. But at least it's Jeskai deck, at least it's 2 hits. But yeah, I mean, I could see considering Ureni, especially like if you test against Jeskai. I mean, you just be like, how often am I going to get it? How often is it good? Whatever. I could believe that it's good. But yeah, my big problem was like, I just feel like it's not like I feel like number one, I'm going to fetch Grizzlebrand most of the time anyway. Number two, sometimes it's going to lose to a Flage or a Quantum Riddler. So like now it seemed kind of narrow in the games it's actually winning me. And I did kind of value my sideboard slots highly because I wanted all the cards. Like there, like there are cards I would sideboard if I could have a 16th card, whatever. Even though I guess I have this random lazy Terastodon that like if nobody plays Belcher, maybe it's less whatever. And I didn't even know if it's good against Belcher, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Ureni. It's kind of like number one, you're gonna fetch Griselbrand most of the time anyway. Number two, it's like gonna lose a. It seems like it's gonna lose a portion of games you fetch it anyway because you're just like too far behind. But it seems reasonable to try it, and like if it's good enough, like I could believe it's good enough against Jeskai or whatever. So that's kind of how I would see it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like if I want to Rennie, I've probably lost the game, and the chances are she's not gonna win me the game. So yeah.
But like it
I
is
think that
conceivable.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is conceivable that it's like they went Ragavan Teferi plus 1, and then it's like, oh man, like well I guess and then it's like, oh, like Griselbrand's too bad for whatever reason, but like Ureni could work there. It's almost like Ureni's almost like better earlier in the game, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like then they don't have time to race it, whereas later in the game, then they can have time to Riddler and whatever. So Ureni's kind of in a weird spot. But I mean, I could believe that it adds enough win rate. Um, but yeah, it felt like too many hoops to jump through or whatever. But I mean, I think it's fine to play it. Like again, it's like the same thing as that Sarah thing. Like if you think you're gonna fetch it enough, like there's no problem playing it. I mean, there was a good old meme that I was talking about back in the Reanimator. There used to be this guy who was like the Reanimator expert of Legacy called Eric Landon, and the joke he always used to say was that everybody would come to him with every creature in the format and be like, "Should we play this in Reanimator for the Entomb package?" And he said like when he watched people play Reanimator, they would never go for Griselbrand. They would always go for every other creature. And I realized the same phenomena happened with Neoform. Like people never they're like scared to get Griselbrand. He was like it's too powerful for them. It's like I guess it's a demon. Like they're too scared to touch it, so they have to go for every other card. And I mean, I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but it is kind of the same thing. Like a lot of times people would tell me situations, and I'm like, Griselbrand's literally still better in that situation. Obviously, it's not the same thing. Like there are utility cards you can fetch, and you know what I mean. I remember he did play a hexproof one, especially he played, But yeah, like I think most people are way too like they want to like feel like they're getting value out of a toolbox, and it's just like 90% of the time you're supposed to get Griselbrand. So you know what I mean. People get too carried away with the toolbox, but I mean it's fun. Like if you have a problem and you think it'll fix the problem, then it's fine to play it.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, do you want to touch on like another matchup, or do you want to talk about Jeskai more? I mean, I could say another thing about Jeskai, I guess, but I don't know if you have any more, you know, questions on it. Or
Yeah. You can say what you want.
it reminded me a lot of like when people were playing white, like Esper Blink, like not the Goryo's deck, but white black, like the white black Blink deck, and they spot
Yeah.
and like I guess I noticed one thing about Neoform was like there were these aggressive decks, and they had not that much interaction, so it was kind of hard to side in your own interaction against them. And you kind of had to treat them more like an aggro deck that has a little bit of interaction. So Jeskai's deck is kind of in between there. But yeah, I mean, I would be like, not, I wouldn't be like, I would kind of view them as like like kind of like Domain Zoo almost, like an aggressive deck with a few counter spells rather than like a control deck. I mean, obviously that's the way it is. And just being aware, like that's, like, I guess one example I noticed was like, I noticed against back when people were playing that Grixis Persist deck with like Archon, if you remember it. It was like Grixis with Oculus.
I remember.
Yeah, like I remember when I saw the matchup, like I saw like Neoform players were like way over, like people were siding in way too much interaction against them, and then like got like literally the only counter spells they have are 2 spell pierce. Like you don't need to side in your entire army. Like I was like, first of all, if you look at that Grixis deck, it doesn't have that much interaction. Like they have like 4 Thoughtseize, 2 spell pierce, and I was like. And like people would be like, yeah, they would like be overreacting too much because they're like, oh, if they spell pierce me, it's so bad or whatever. It's like, so I would like, it's kind of like, yeah, I would view it kind of like Zoo, kind of like these decks. Like there's a range of like on the one end there's a deck that's like, the Grixis Reanimator deck that has like 2 spell pierce, 4 Thoughtseize, and maybe you want a little bit for the spell pierce, or like Affinity is kind of there. Like Affinity, maybe you don't want all your Veil of Summers just because the other reasons I said. And then it's like on the other end you might play against that blue white control deck or what, I don't know if you could beat it, but like,
Yeah,
you know, a deck with a lot of interaction.
yeah.
Yeah, like if you play against, there's like a range, you know, between them, and Jeskai kind of like in a weird space where it's like, yeah, has interaction, but doesn't have that much interaction. But you know what I mean? It has like some interaction. It's kind of like in a weird middle of it where it's like you don't want to like you can't sign in like yeah you can't just like sit behind on all your interaction and win, but also you do need some interaction for their interaction. Like again, it's kind of weird. It's like if your opponent has like another example was I saw was Storm. Like some Storm lists had like Orm's Chant or Fluster Storms, and it's like okay, like how do you sideboard against Storm if they have like 3 Fluster Storms? Because you know what I mean? Because then like they're gonna have it like sometimes, but like most of the time the game like Veil of Summer is gonna be bad against them most of the time. So you kind of that's why they kind of put you in a spot and you just kind of have to make your decision and you kind of have to like yeah like live with it consistently. Like in the games it's bad, you have to be like okay it's bad this game but I think it's worth it overall. Like you kind of have to be like you can't be like you know changing your mind every 5 seconds. Like you open your hand and you're like Veil of Summer is
Yeah, I
bad
understand.
now.
Yeah,
So yeah you kind of that's kind of how I see the matchup being like okay if my card is bad I'm just going to be like does it make sense why I had it, then I'll live with it. And like obviously it'll be bad sometimes. That's how it is. Like you play against Storm with Flusterstorm. Like I feel like Jeskai is a kind of deck at making you feel bad because you know what I mean. They're just the way their deck is built, where they're like yeah, kind of. So I think that's kind of how I view the Jeskai matchup. Like it's gonna feel kind of rockety. It's kind of like when I saw that white black blink deck. Because when I saw that white black blink deck that had like only just thought seizes and like not that much interaction, it's kind of funny because like you're pretty favored against them, but sometimes you're gonna lose because they drew their Thoughtseize, and it's like hard to have the right
yeah,
balance of
yeah,
like doing that. That was the Eldrazi because that was why I disrespected Eldrazi because at first I thought Eldrazi is too easy, so I'm like, oh, I just need to be super, you know, conservative, whatever against Eldrazi. But then, but like I didn't respect them enough. Like I was like, oh, they don't have enough interaction. But then as I played more, I realized they had more interaction. Anyway, so yeah, that's the final things I would say about Jeskai. Like it's obviously gonna feel like weird when you play the matchup because the way their deck is built is like they're like a zoo deck with like not that much interaction, but like they have like enough that they're gonna draw one most games. Um, yeah, like I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like their range of draws are weird because like if they have turn one Ragavan with 2 interaction, it's gonna be hard to ever win no matter what you do. But like sometimes they won't have Ragavan and they'll have interaction and you outgrind it, or like some games they'll have you know they don't anyway. So yeah.
yeah, 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 I understand. There's one more thing that I just remembered. Uh, I think they're gonna cite in their mystical disputes. Like they probably have like 2 or 3 copies. Uh, Now, Eldritch Evolution is much better than Dispute against Dispute than Neoform. So, is it worth maybe to cut one or both, or is it maybe better to you know?
Yeah, like it's probably. I mean, it's probably hard to cut evolution. I mean, to cut neoform because number one, if you have
Yeah,
cards
yeah,
like
yeah,
Veil of Summer or Disputes, then like it can be a lot better at protecting those. And like you know, especially if you play more can like just being cheaper. You know, although like the other thing about evolution is it's quite slow. Like they might be able to just play Dispute for 3 mana at that point. Um, so I would probably lean to just have all my neoforms just because like the
okay,
thing is sometimes you're like you have Veil of Summer, you have disputes, whatever, and like there's also like when you Grizzlebrand and draw cards, you want the mana up because imagine if you evolution Grizzlebrand and then they play Teferi and like you don't have any mana up. So I would lean to neoform. Like I think the mana is a big deal, even if they have disputes. You know,
yeah,
almost even if they have 4 disputes because of Veil of Summer and stuff. But like I don't know, like yeah, I would lean not not to like just because it feels kind of fringe. Like evolution's slow, especially with Hooting Mandrills. Like the problem is like Neoform plus Hooting Mandrills is like a 3 mana combo, and a lot of time you want to do that because of Solitude. Like a lot of times you want to go play Hooting Mandrills, play Neoform, have a counter spell up. So that's why I would lean to Neoform more, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. In the uh, would you often go like when you have Veil up as protection? Would you start your combo and try to like blow them out with Veil, or would you start with Veil and see if they counter it?
Well,
I
so
mean, I know that it depends on the state of the game and everything, but just like some thoughts on that like play pattern.
I mean, I would say the biggest thing is subtlety, right? Like if my opponent has no subtleties in their deck, or Sync into the Super also stops it. So like if you're playing against Belcher and they have like 2 mana up, then it's probably often going to be better to just play Veil of Summer and then try a combo, right? But if you're playing against a deck
Yeah.
and they have subtlety, then it's gonna look ridiculous if you play Veil, play Rider, and then they subtlety it. So I mean that's probably the
Yeah.
biggest thing to be aware of. That there's other things too. Like sometimes I'll be like, I might just go lose if I don't win the game this turn anyway. Like sometimes there's exceptions. Like sometimes it's like, I mean yeah, it's always you just think about random things. But I would say like general like if you're just gonna lose the game if you don't combo this turn anyway, then leading on Veil can like sometimes like then holding Veil could be better. Like if they have two counter spells, I'm just gonna lose. Let me try and think of an example. Like okay, so like the upside of leading. Okay, now I realize what I mean to say. Like the upside, like let's say you lead on Veil and then they go counter spell your Veil. Then if you're still gonna just go for Neoform anyway, then that can impact things, right? Because like the number one upside of leading on Veil is then maybe you'll be like, oh, maybe I'll wait for another turn. But if you're just gonna combo anyway, then like maybe you just combo and then you cast Veil, and then yeah, if they have two counter spells, you lose, but you're gonna go for it anyway. If you see what I mean. So that's like a question I would ask: is like, am I gonna just go for it anyway? Like, what am I gonna do if they
Yeah.
counter my Veil? And then there's also like obviously super minor stuff. Like sometimes you might not even want to draw a card because like you already drew Grizzlebrand, and then there's like a 2% chance you draw Galta. But I mean, and also yes. So the biggest thing is subtlety. But yeah, like also remember Sinkins is stupor obviously because like like you could go Veil of Summer and then they're like okay, and then you go Neoform and then they're like Sinkins stupor bounce it and you're like oh this sucks. So yeah, I mean just keep in mind the cards that get around Veil and keep in mind, am I going to wait or do I have to go now? Because if you have to go now, then you might. Because like that was one thing. Like some people they were watching me play Neoform and they're like, oh, you should just lead on Veil to see if you're safe and then go for the combo. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go for the combo anyway, so it doesn't matter. Obviously, there's also like small things like what if they have Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm that maybe you want to play Veil first because you can pay for those things, right? So like if your opponent has two Spell Pierces, right, it might be better to lead on Veil or whatever because like you can pay for it if you see what I mean, depending on the turn,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean that's kind of what I would say about that. I mean obviously there's a lot of small exceptions here or there, but generally it'd be like, do I have to go for it anyway, or am I gonna wait? That's and like
Yeah.
yeah
If you can't if you can't wait for a turn to combo, then you don't start on Veil. Yeah.
yeah
Makes
you're
sense.
just gonna lose anyway to two counter spells. So yeah um yeah
And against prowess, because they have some spell snare, some one or two spell pierces inside. Would you side in any like hate, or would you do you would you put in into the flood mode
well
against
do they have like I have to see, do they have any permanent hate or just to bounce their prowess creatures?
just to bounce like slick shot or something like that?
Well, I've never played the matchup. I would lean to saying no, but it depends what the whole sideboard plan is. I mean, uh, let me see. Like, if they have like three, like I'm just seeing their list. If they sideboard Violent Urge, not really. Um, I mean, I guess it kind of depends. Like, let me see the sideboard plan. I mean, probably like I would lean to no, but I'm trying to see like how like I don't feel like I would sideboard that much against them. Probably, if I had to guess,
Yeah.
and maybe not, because like one problem of siding in Floodmaw, this is a matchup where like if you don't go off right away, it can be kind of awkward for you. Like the blue count thing, I guess is what I'm saying. Like if you're not siding out consign or pact of negations, then like Floodball you're siding in more blue cards, so that's something to keep in mind. Um, like I guess yeah, it just depends like what they're siding. Like I'm trying to see what to sideboard, and I'm looking at their list. Like they don't like I'm trying to see like dispute doesn't seem like it would probably be very good. Like you'd rather Veil. So let me see. Uh, like from this list, like I'm trying to see if I would even sideboard. Like you probably don't want Hooting Mandrills because it's too slow. You probably don't want Sea Beyond.
Yeah.
Like maybe like it might be like a no sideboarding. Like maybe what's the worst card in the deck? I guess it's like can you side out one Consign to Memory? Can you side out one Pact of Negation? Like you probably want like Nourishing Shoals probably seems better than Floodmaw if you're trying to gain life. Obviously, it's kind of different. The problem is like it's hard to like win a fair game where you're like, oh, they're gonna go all in their Slick Shot and then you bounce it because it's like you're kind of trying to combo anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously that's a good situation for you, Um, if that happens. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like something about Neoform is like you're not really trying to play fair games that much. Like it would only be good insofar as that it buys you time to combo, right? Like Floodmaw, like I don't think Floodmaw would be good because it's like, oh, like I 2-for-1 them because I played mutagenic growth. I think it would be good because it's like it bought you time to get to combo. So it's like, well, are there like other cards in our deck that are like worse at getting us to combo? It's like, you know what I mean? I could see maybe signing
Yeah,
in one or two if you like play the matchup and you feel like they're killing you too quickly, or like especially on the draw. Like it's way better on the draw for sure. For like because on the draw you're like it's way easier to have cards to pitch. But like it's kind of like your worst cards are almost like Pact of Negation, Consign, and Veil of Summer. But like they're all good in their own ways because like Consign to Memory is like you know like I mean I guess it's self-explanatory while they're all good in their own ways. Like maybe you can cut one Galta. I guess one big thing I would say about Galta is like if my opponent like the better Grizzlebrand is at winning the game, the less I want more Galtas, right? Because like if you're just gonna play Grizzlebrand and that's enough to win the like I could see siding out a Galta for a Floodmaw, I guess is what I'm saying.
mm.
Because like how often
Yeah.
are you gonna need two Galtas against prowess? like
Like
if you
I'm
yeah,
sorry. Couple of times. I mean, a lot of the times, what happens to me was, I mean, I think that I'm favored in the matchup, and I think that I like won more games than I lost. But when I lose, usually it's because like they have some board presence, like they have DRC or Swift Fear or Slickshot. It doesn't matter, like one or two creatures, and I combo off. I put Grizzlebrand into play, and I'm like, I don't know, like at 10 life, and they attack. I go to block, and they bolt their own dude,
guy,
and then they killed me.
yeah. Well, yeah. So I
And
could, yeah, yeah.
and
I could,
for those situations, I was thinking like, then if they bolt their own dude, I can bounce their bigger stuff, and then I can survive, swing back for lifelink, and then I think I would stabilize.
yeah. So I mean, I guess yeah, that makes sense. That like you put in a guy, but you're just behind on board. I mean, that's you can kind of look at the few things you have to interact with that already. So like Pact of Negation obviously can sometimes work against
Yeah,
that. Nourishing Shoal can work, but also sometimes it's like maybe you have to go for a track set in some of those situations if your life is too low, obviously. But I guess what I mean to say is like it does like I don't mean like what I mean to say is like it doesn't seem like a matchup where the third like you're gonna need to Galta multiple times as much like you see what I mean like it's not like they're gonna like if you have a Traxa and Grizzlebrand in play you should be able to win and like it's not and you still have Xenagos you still have Disciple of Freyalise to fetch or whatever that's actually a good thing like sometimes I've missed lines where like I could have fetched Disciple because I didn't even think about it but it could I guess it could come up um
yeah.
yeah, like I had games where I had like Grizzlebrand in play, and like if I fetched Disciple, I could draw my deck because like I gained the life to draw more cards, but I didn't even think about it. Anyway, yeah, what I mean is like I could see signing out a Galta because like I feel like obviously it could happen sometimes, but it seems like it's much less frequent that you're going to need multiple Galtas in this matchup. Just like the way their deck is, like if you resolve an Atraxa or a Grizzlebrand, like so I could see
Yeah, makes
cutting a
sense. Makes
Galta.
sense.
Like the only thing you can say about it that's good is that it's a green card almost, and like obviously there's like some small percent of games that it's gonna matter. And then like what's the other worst card? It's like I don't know. You probably want consigns because so you don't die to your own packs, and like you can consign prowess triggers and stuff. So like you probably don't want to cut a consign. Like maybe you could cut a veil, but like if they have, like it's a green card that like it seems fine to have them all because like they have like 3 counterspells. They're gonna have a counterspell like half the time probably, and like you only have 4 packs, so like I don't know, like it seems fine to want all your veils. Like on the like sometimes you could maybe consider cutting like one evolution just because you're like, oh, it's kind of slow and like I could find it, but it seems fine to keep it all. So yeah, I mean I think it's fine to side in 2 Flood Maws in the sense of like I need more time to survive, but not in the sense of I'm trying to play a fair game. But I can believe it, especially on the draw, and especially because like sometimes you can't combo until turn 3 or turn 4, and then like the flood mod can just buy you time. So seems fine to side 1 or 2 in, and yeah, I mean I would probably maybe I'd cut a Galta, maybe I'd cut like an evolution or a veil or I don't know something
Mm.
at random. Um,
Yeah. It makes sense. Makes sense. I understand. What
yeah,
else? What else? Mm-mm. And about Zoo, like I've seen some lists that are playing like perhaps 2 Ashioks in the side, inside, and they have some like stubborn denial, some consigns in the main, is it worth to? Would you put in like mystical disputes?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at some lists. I mean, if they have two Ashioks, I mean, my first instinct would be that like, yeah, because Zoo. I mean, Zoo's a good example of where it's hard to sideboard because they have a lot of different things. Like they have counter spells, but they don't have that many. like I don't know what's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
average, but
yeah.
it's around like I mean, it might be more than four. Like it depends how many settled. What's it called? Stubborn denial. So they play like they play like two or three stubborn denial, and they usually sideboard disputes. I think So they have like around 4 or 5 counter spells. So they have counter like again, it's like they have counter spells, but they don't have that many. But if they do have one counter spell, I mean, you need to stop it. Um, then what else do they have? I mean, they have Ragavan, but that's not really a hate card. I mean, Ashiok, it looks like people play one on average, but some people do play two. Maybe at the RC they'll play more. I'm trying to see what other hate they have. Some people have Strict
Like
Serenade. Yeah.
they're playing Doorkeeper, and what do you think? Well, I mean, you probably have to leave one Atraxa in deck, even if they play for Trolls.
Um. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to. Uh. Yeah. I feel like a Traxa would be good against them just because, like, for the get, like, I can imagine games where like you're just in a race and like like your life total is low. So like, I kind of almost view Atraxa as my Ureni. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah,
lean to
yeah.
leaving it Atraxa because it just feels like against Zoo, a lot of games, it'll be a race and then like it'll be good
It's a
at
dude. Yeah.
yeah. So I'd probably leave it in because like I mean, you don't need to fetch it, right? It's not like it's forcing you to fetch it. All it's doing is taking up a slot in your deck. Like it's probably better than the second Galta or whatever. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
um, yeah, I
100%.
mean, how I would sideboard, I mean, yeah, obviously it would be hard. I mean, I would do the same thing. Like, I would kind of be like, I mean, you probably don't want Hooting Mandrills. It's kind of like Affinity. Like, they don't really have anything that's that good against Mandrills, so you probably don't want Mandrills. Then it's like, okay, what are the cards you want? It's like between like Floodmaws and Disputes. The thing is, Veil's kind of, I don't know, is when they have Leyline of Guildpact, Veil stops their ley lines or whatever. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, where they have Leyline, like that's good for them, but then like everything is
Available.
actually that yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was more for Ureni when they have that Ureni is like untouchable.
Yeah, so I guess like Veil gets some bonus points. I mean, I forget exactly how it works was on the stack because like I don't think like if they play a spell, it's only blue in play but not on the stack. So like you can't like necessarily like Veil to cycle or like Dispute
uh,
to counter.
no, no, yeah, but it works for Leyline binding
Yeah, for
because
binding.
binding is blue on the stack on the board. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but not like on
You can
the
waive it.
stack. Yeah, I mean like in terms of just some other stuff. But I guess like what I mean is like it's like okay, they have counter spells. How do I want to fight their counter spells? What are my tools? Well, my tools are Pact of Negation, Veil of Summer, Dispute. Those are all your tools to fight counter spells. It's like, well, which ones do I want? The problem with Dispute is it's kind of the worst of both worlds because it's blue and it costs mana. Like Veil's green, but it costs mana. Pact of Negation is blue, but it costs 0 mana. Um,
Yeah.
so, and also, obviously, as you were saying, like sometimes they have leyline binding, pact of negation. If it's relevant, it can counter leyline binding, whatever they do. So, I mean, it makes sense to me that Veil and Pact are probably better than Dispute. Like, they don't play a lot of blue cards. Oh yeah, obviously Ashiok you were talking about. Like, okay, if they had two Ashioks, like maybe you want a couple Disputes, maybe you trim a Veil or a Pact or whatever. Um, but like they don't play that
And
many
do you,
blue cards, right? So it would mostly just
yeah.
be
And do you think that maybe on the play is it fine? Is it good to side in like into the Floodmoss? Because if they start with Leyline, you can bounce it, and then maybe they kept awkward mana base because they had Leyline, and if they have Ashiok, it's also maybe for Ashiok.
I mean, my problem with balancing Leyline is I don't feel like their Leyline's actually that good against you because, like, what does Leyline enable? It enables, like, the Draco Hexproof, and, like, you don't really care about that. And it enables them casting Leyline Binding for 1 mana. Like, I guess the most powerful things their Leyline's enabling are, like, not things you care about. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if, like, obviously it fixes their mana or whatever, but their mana base is pretty good. Like, they have fetch lands and stuff. So I feel like I don't feel like I would value balancing it that highly, mostly because, I mean, maybe it's worth doing, but to me it seems like I don't really care about their Draco being whatever, and I don't care about the binding being cheap. I feel like one of the problems with Zoo is that against combo decks, their ley lines aren't that good because like most of what leyline is doing for them is giving hexproof to their dragon. I feel like, or like
Yeah,
not
yeah,
hexproof,
yeah.
but like all the 5 abilities or whatever. Um, so yeah, I don't feel like bouncing this thing would be that good on turn one because of that. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's better than I think, but obviously, like yeah, if they have Ashiok, obviously that's kind of scary because like you can't win if they have Ashiok in play. So then maybe you want some amount of stuff, but I'd probably lean to Dispute first because Dispute counters the counterspell. Like if you have Floodmon in your opening hand, you're like, okay, this is good if they have Ashiok, but now if they have a counterspell, that's horrible. Whereas at least if you have Dispute, it'll work
Yeah,
against a counterspell too. So I would lean to having Dispute first, I guess. And like, yeah, if they have a bunch of Ashioks, maybe I'd side in a couple Disputes. I don't know how many. And like, I don't know, maybe you want a Flood Maw if you're on the draw. Like, play draw is like pretty big difference because like on the play it's much harder to have green cards for Rider, whereas on the draw it's easier to have green cards for Rider. And also on the draw, like on the play, like you're just so much faster. Whereas on the draw, like you might need to spend 1 mana to bounce some. You know what I mean? Like if you're on the play, you can play Evolution before they play Ashiok, assuming no Ragavan, I guess. But whereas if you're on the draw, like they're gonna cast their Ashiok before you're able to resolve before you're able to get to your
yeah.
turn
Makes
three.
sense. Makes sense. Makes
So
sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I could see Floodball on the draw. It's a bit sketchier on the play, and I could see some amount of disputes. Like again, I probably just wouldn't sideboard that much, right? Because it's like you don't really want mandrills. So and like you probably don't want Sea Beyond because it's probably too slow. So it's like the only cards you want is like how do I want to fight their counter spells, and like do I want any Flood Maws? And it's like yeah, Pact of Negation and Veil aren't that good, but they're like fine. So I probably just wouldn't sideboard that much against Zoo. Yeah, and like maybe a little bit.
yeah,
Like maybe you can side out a Galta for a dispute or something. I don't know. Like again, like this is like I do feel like Galta is like I don't know. Maybe I probably trim it too much, but like if it's a matchup where it's not as grindy or whatever. Uh,
yeah. I understand. Yeah,
like if you're just like you're gonna put your like I guess it's with Xenagos. Like if you have Xenagos in, Xenagos is kind of like another Galta because it's like it's just another big guy to fetch. Like so in the late game. Anyway, yeah.
hmm And given that the meta has changed, I think quite a lot from Pro Tour, would you change something like off the top of your head now in the deck? Well, like, would you play less Veil of Summer's main because there's no Esper as much as it was before, or something like that?
I mean, the biggest thing that would come to mind, I'm just looking at the meta breakdown, is that like maybe so I added Terrastodon because of Belcher because I wanted a disenchant for Belcher, but like it looks like Belcher's really gone
Yeah,
much
yeah,
less popular.
fallen off.
Yeah, so like maybe I wouldn't want to Terrastodon because like I didn't even know if it was good against Belcher. So like maybe you don't need it, but it like the thing is, it's kind of the situation where like if you do play against Belcher and they do it'll be kind of like maybe I'll even consider I don't know, like it'll feel kind of bad to not have disenchants because it'll feel really stupid to like put a Grizzlebrand in play and then like die because they have Belcher in play even though you drew a million cards whatever. But whatever, yeah, Terrastodon's like the first card that would be like on my chopping block, and then I mean I like most of the things because like the problem is like yes like the Jeskai deck is new, but as I was saying, it's like it feels like it's hard to do that much about it. Um, I kind of like my logic for the 4 Veil was that like was kind of just that like I felt like most of the matchups that you don't need Veil in like energy it's like it doesn't matter because it's either like you combo or don't combo and like the slots you play over Veil are like so bad like you know what I mean, so it just felt like marginal to me. And like if you do play against a deck where you want Veil, it's like so important to have. And the Jeskai deck does still play like the thing is they're gonna mulligan to it. Like if they have like 2 Strict Serenade, they're probably gonna kind of mulligan to it. So it's like you know what I mean? Like I think Veil's still gonna be pretty good against Jeskai. Even if all they have is 2 Strict Serenade, like the games you lose are probably when they Strict Serenade your guy or whatever. And there's other decks too, like because it's like I don't know, let's say it's 15%. Like some people are gonna be playing Affinity for color aggro. There's the Simic Birthing Ritual deck. There's like yeah. Also, the other thing about Veil is that it's kind of good against Vexing Bobble, which feels like it's beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like a lot of decks, the only way to interact with you is Vexing Bobble, and Veil works against Vexing Bobble. Like I played against the Amulet guy, he had 2 Vexing Bobbles out, and I played Veil, and I felt really good. So and it's a green card. So I don't know. I would probably lean to playing 4 Veil. I mean, I would just look at the meta, but like if it's good against like 30% of decks, that's like pretty good to me because like Veil's basically good against the stuff you're bad against or whatever. So yeah, I'd be kind of into it. Like maybe there's other things you could play, but the problem is all the other stuff is like so marginal to me. It's like I don't know, like maybe you play more, more Nourishing Shoal. Like I probably like Nourishing Shoal more than most people because you actually do die to your Grizzlebrand a lot. I mean, I died to my Grizzlebrand a lot at the last PT, and I was like, man, I'm even playing Nourishing Shoals, so I had to make sure it was in my deck still, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm saying I like yeah, you kind of have to weigh what are the other things you could play. I mean, you can play an extra lane. Like a lot of people, one of the critiques people said on my list is I play too few lands. Because again, that was me being pessimistic. I was like, whatever, like I have to. I mean, it's not really logic to say I have to take some chances or whatever. But it was kind of like like I just wanted the other cards more, and like I don't know, maybe it's correct to play one more land, but I was kind of like the lands. Like I guess I could say like if you're a coward, you could add a land, or like maybe you can add a land. But I was kind of like I used to play a lot of Legacy, and Legacy decks played like very very few lands, and it was less than people thought because everybody played 4 Wasteland in Legacy. It wasn't you weren't just playing 12 lands in your Delver deck. You were playing like or 14. You were playing 14 lands, and everybody had 4 Wasteland. I was trying to take advantage. Yeah, like I was comfortable playing low lands because like number one, I have Summoner's Pact, which is like Elvish Spirit Guide. Like obviously it's not a blue land, but it's your second mana source. Number two, I wanted like you have all these hedge mazes, and the hedge mazes do make playing less lands better. Like just like you're just more like you're like one land hands are better because you have hedge maze. Like I'm not saying that
you have preordained, so yeah.
Yeah, in your hand. Yeah, and preordained was a big reason for the mana, and like I was just kind of fine. Like yeah, like I would say like you could consider like I guess with Veil, like you could cut Veil for like Bridgeworks Battle or like Disciple or Generous End, whatever. Like that's another green card. That's a green card in a land. You know what I mean? But I was a little bit fine going a bit on the edge with the lands, just because this deck really wants to have a low amount of lands. Like this deck really wants to not have lands, and you have Summoner's Pact. And like I guess one joke I was saying was like a lot of Neoform decks were playing like almost 22 lands, and I'm like that's literally how many lands people were playing in VV Cauldron and Standard. And like you know what I mean? So it's like I don't know, it just seemed like people had way too many lands to me. Anyway, like, yeah, I mean, like, I guess that, like, if you want to cut a Veil and add, like, a Generous End, but I guess my barometer is, like, if Veil's good against 30% of the decks, I probably want 4.
You want
maybe, yeah, maybe you want, like, a Generous, like, maybe you want to, whatever, a green flip land or whatever. Like, it would probably be pretty bad to play a real land. Like, I tried Waterlog Grove a lot, actually, and I really wanted it to be good. That's when I was disciplined, like, because I was like, if I play Waterlog Grove and it's good, then I'm so smart, because nobody else plays it. And I thought it was okay, but the fetch lands are just so broken in this deck because of Hooting Man. Like fetch lands are just so broken with Surveil lands. Like everybody already knew fetch lands was broken, but now they're just like it's just absurd. Like yeah, so like I guess what I'm saying was like hard to play lands that weren't fetch lands, like Waterlog Grove or stuff like that. Like that's why I didn't play Beseiju. Like obviously Beseiju's good, but I had the forest issues, and like I was also inspired by Legacy. Like in Legacy, there's so many lands that were broken, but you only were allowed to play fetch lands and dual lands because like. That's how it was with Storm. Like you can't play cards like Beseiju in your Storm deck and Legacy because the mana's too bad. You know what I mean? Like you just have to play fetch lands. So that's why I was comfortable being like, I know Beseiju's broken, but I'm not gonna play it because I used to play Legacy, and like in Legacy we only had to play fetch lands because that's how it was. Because you know what I mean? Because the fetch lands were too good, and because I mean, I would say yeah, you could consider adding like a Disciple or a Bridgeworks Battle or whatever. You could, add like, but yeah, I mean, I feel comfortable with the 4 Veil. I don't know. I feel comfortable with this main deck, and like it feels like it's hard to change that much for the meta and the sideboard. Like I don't know. I feel like okay about the sideboard, like because the thing about Hooting Mandrills is like it's good against stuff besides subtlety. Like it's good against people who play Vexing Bauble sometimes. It's good against people who play. Like, it's just good against some forms of hate people play. So, like, I don't know if you need 4, but I'd probably play at least 3. And I'd play the Atraxa probably for the Mandrills. Yeah, I could cut the Trastodon. Like, the Sea Beyond, I don't know, I'm fine with it. Just, like, maybe you can cut it. Like, it's a kind of card, like, don't complain to me if you think it sucks or whatever. But I just felt like I wanted more grindy cards for post-board. Like, it just seemed like, the post-board games, my opponent's going to sign an interaction. I'm going to need I'm going to need to beat more interaction. So, and the problem is, like, you can't just like play like 4 Veil of Summers and be like low. That's my like you can't just side in. I guess you can't just side in cards like Defense Grid like, so the problem with cards like Veil of Summer and Mystical Dispute and Pact of Negation is that they're good at protecting your combo, but if you don't have the combo, they're like garbage in your opening hand. Like if your opening hand's 4
Yeah.
Veil of Summer, 3 lands, it does nothing. That's why I have some cards like Sea Beyond, because it's like basically trying to find my protection, but it doesn't mean my hand's going to be just like all, like my opening hand's 2 Pact of Negation, 2 Dispute, it doesn't do anything. That's why I wanted some cards like that, because it's kind of like I want more, yeah, whatever. It could, yeah. So C Beyond's a big question mark. I would still play it because like whatever, I want a grindy card. It could be something else, but like the options seem kind of horrible when I looked at them all. Like again, you can like yeah. I already spoke about Tamio and Brain Surge. Like they're fine.
Yeah.
Tamio is obviously a better card. I just felt that like sometimes she was too slow, but like maybe she's good. It's not like it has like Tamio is obviously this is a really good Tamio deck, and Tamio does you like unique stuff. Like maybe you could play Tamio instead of C Beyond, but like I like that like they can solitude your Tamio. Like I didn't like that they could use removal spells on my Tamio, even if it's bad for them. Like I like that CB's more reliable in my opening hand, if that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
like that it shuffles guys back in. So yeah, that's
But
why I feel fine about that.
against Jeskai,
Yeah, I mean like I might like that's yeah. I mean I forgot if we talked about Jessica if I would sign it. Like I might. I mean like I feel like it would be better than Nourishing Shoal. Like I feel like
yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
and I feel like I might have it in, but like again, it depends. Like how fast do I feel like I need to be? Like if you feel like you need a combo on like turn 2 or turn 3 every game, it's worth. But if you're and like maybe against Jeskai, you feel like turn 4 is too late. Like but the more like I like kind of like Cbion and Mandrills. Like I feel like they kind of work together because Cbion gives Del for it. And like I guess what I'm saying is Mandrills is already slow. Like you can't combo until later anyway with Mandrills. So I don't know. Like I would lean to have Cbion against them, but obviously the worst case scenario is they go turn 1 Ragavan and it's like low, like it's too slow. But again, it's like what do I have it compared to? It's like like you don't necessarily need you know all like you don't necessarily need all the Veil of Summers. You don't necessarily need all like I might cut more of the creatures. Like maybe I don't need as many packs or whatever because like and it, like I guess I'm not sure about Cbion. I would it's kind of like Eldrazi. It's like the more interaction I'm trying to beat from them, the more I'd want Cbion, and the more I'm just like I want to be fast before they have time to untap with their threats, the less I would want Cbion. And I feel like I would expect them to have like 1 or 2 interaction, so I might want Cbion because this deck is like very bad at having interaction for your opponent. Like if you have a hand that's Neoform Source Rider, like you're probably gonna have to keep it and just hope that it works, right? So like I don't mind having my Cbions, and like worst case I just cycle it on turn 2, and it yeah. So I would lean to having it, but like I wouldn't be surprised if it's bad. But like yeah, the more interaction you're trying to beat, the better Cbion is, and the more you're like I need to be fast. Like against Affinity, you're like it's just too or like Zoo, maybe you're like it's just too slow because their threats kill me too quickly. The less I would want Cbions. That's kind of how I would see it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. This was a very insightful.
Yeah. Yeah, glad to help. I hope the Neoform does well. I feel like Neoform is I wouldn't say like I don't know how good it is, but I feel like it's like too new. So like it's like if there's a new combo deck, so like I feel like it has more potential. It's like the example I was saying is like imagine Lotus Field and Pioneer. Nobody just made Lotus Field on day one. It's good. It took a while, so I feel like Neoform is
Yeah.
better than people think because it's like too new and people haven't tuned it enough or whatever. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, so I don't know. I hope it goes well for the Neoform people. Yeah, so we'll see. Like I don't know if it's the best deck, but I think it's better than people think it is. Probably like it can't be that bad at worst. Like at worst case, it's fine.
Yeah,
Like I don't know.
my thought process is like I'm working a lot and I don't have time to practice as probably a lot of people that are going to RC. So if I don't practice as much as they are, I'm probably not gonna win against them in Jeskai Mirror. But I roll a dice and we'll see what happens.
I felt also like I felt like these blink mirrors seemed like nonsense to me, and I didn't want to play them. And
Yeah.
I mean, I do think Neoform's hard to play, but it's hard. It's like you know your game plan. Like it's not like weird energy mirrors. Like it's like you know what your cards do. I do feel like that's one thing about Neoform. Like what people underrate it is like sometimes I would watch people play and they would just like lose, and it's like you could have won if you played like Neoform can definitely be hard to play, but that's every Magic deck. So like there's definitely a lot of
Yeah.
small like I definitely noticed with Neoform there's a lot of like small decisions that can be kind of tight. So it's good to like think about them and be aware of them, and they matter. Like it feels silly because like you're playing Neoform, which people think is a silly deck, but like it's kind of like Canister on Amulet. Like you have to think the decisions are kind of hard because you mess up one small thing and that's the whole game and whatever. I mean, it's a good deck for paper too because you can think and you're not going to get a draw. That you can be slower with this deck than most decks. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna go to time. You can go to bathroom to eat something or.
Yeah, and you can take your time. Like you can think for a few minutes on turn one, and maybe it'll annoy your opponent or whatever. But like you're not gonna. It's not like you're playing blue white control and thinking for 3 minutes about your turn. Like you can take your time. You're right to think about your turns. Which yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I guess that's all. I don't know if you have anything else you want to
Yeah.
add.
So that's all. Just to say, like, thank you. This was very insightful, and this helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So good luck and have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.